Welcome back, supporter of the cause. The Holy Crusader has returned. Rogeb 10 Hyper.
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, I didn't say that correctly. My name is Abigail Beck. Welcome back to the Rogue Room. How you doing, folks? How's it been? How's your day been? How's everything been treating you? I hope you're all well. Rogue B10. Yeah, the bot read it as Rogue B10. The bot doesn't know how to read emotes. It's highly amusing. Why? Oh, I was going to say, why is our daily sub goal? Why is our daily sub goal going up? I know why it went up. Thank you, Reckless. Holy, how have you been? How's everyone going? How's everybody been going? Let me get my English into check. I'm not good at this. Ugh. Oof. I don't know what it is about today, but it has certainly been a day. It has certainly been a day. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But we're not doing the coffee tonight. We're doing tea. We're being slightly classier. We're having tea. And we're also going to talk about privilege. We're going to talk about privilege. And I'm not doing the vodka water bottle thing tonight. I'm sorry to disappoint y'all. Also, I think my portal gun is slowly dying. That's the purple color. But as you can see, I'm going to need to replace the battery soon because the purple's gone pink. Oh, hang on. I forgot something. Give me a sec. I got to turn all my lights on, dude. I've got to make sure all my lights are on. Otherwise, it just kind of, defeats the purpose, defeats the aesthetic, and even worse, I'm so bad at this. Sword lesbian needs her sword. There we go. We've got to have the whole thing. Got to have the whole thing in check. Otherwise, it's just a disaster. It's just like an absolute disaster. There's that for you. And a bit of hydration, because we need it. Probably should have refilled it before I started off tonight, but, that'll do. Most of a water bottle is okay. I don't need one of those gigantic jugs that some streamers and YouTubers have. A shaker is fine. I can refill it. I don't need excess amounts of water all the live long day, There is that person who died, remember, after trying to drink like 6 liters of water straight or something like that. I don't want to end up like them. I'm not in that. I'm not in that business. You want a timeout? Okay. A 5-gallon jug. Sorry, there you go. There you go. She desalinated? Oh my god. There you go. There's your 60-second timeout. Enjoy. How are you, Rena? What's going on? What's going on, friends? What's happening? We got some stories tonight. We got a bunch of stories tonight. I feel like I haven't opened all of them. Oh no, I have opened all of them. Okay, we're all set to go. We're all set to go for the news and things like that. We're just gonna chill for a bit. I have some regrets to share with you. Hello, Ruthie. How's it going? I have regrets, my friends, to share with you. I got my Twitch payout today, which was nice for a little while, but then I had to pay like a bunch of bills all up front, so like most of that money is already gone, including, regrettably, I have committed a crime. I committed a crime, my friends, and I had to pay the price. I had a speeding ticket, so I had to pay like $100 today, which wasn't nice. Lost a good chunk of my Twitch payout money, and I'm not happy.
Welcome back.
I am not
supporter of the cause.
Not happy, Jen!
Draco, thank you for gifting 3 months of tier 1 to Ruthie. Thank you so kindly. That's gangster. It is pretty gangster to, do slightly over 5Ks over the speed limit in a zone where there was a speed camera. Oops. Don't do that, I guess. I guess going, 56 in a 50 zone's bad. Even though it's not that much, but alright, whatever. Speeding is for cool kids. Don't let the law tell you otherwise. Well, the law will tell you otherwise by taking the money off you. I'm not going to bother fighting it, no. I'm not. I can't be fucked. Fuck the cops, fuck the system and all that, but fix some roads up or something. I could afford it. I'm not going to go through the legal system with this shit. I just can't be bothered. Always work those off. I'm not doing that shit. Fuck no. No, it was actually $203, but I paid off half of it last week and I paid the other half off this week. And there was also like an electricity bill I had to pay. So like most of the money I got from my Twitch payout is gone already, and I hate that because I was desperately hoping, I'm going to take this little batch of cash that I'm about to get, and I'm going to put that onto my my camera fund. I really want to get a good camera. It's about $1,400. And now I've got maybe $100 left if I can save that till I get paid next. And that pisses me off. It does. Because we don't have Angry Octopus yet. We do not. It'll arrive. I think it'll arrive in time. We'll get it. It'll arrive. Am I full-time on Twitch? Well, it depends what you define as full-time. I only stream, technically not. Like, I do like 15 hours a week of this. 3 hours every night, Monday to Friday. I've said to myself before, like, if I could draw in enough income from Twitch to get, 10 times that amount of subscribers on a regular basis, yes, I'd go full-time. I would stream for like, probably 6 to 8 hour days, 5 days a week. But as it stands, I need to use the time I've got for the rest of the week on other things that do bring me more money. So I can't be like a full-time streamer. I used to do a lot more streams than I do now. Used to spend a lot more time on this than I do now. But yeah, at present, no. It'd be nice. It would be quite the privilege, which we're going to talk about very shortly. We're going to talk about the idea of social privilege. Angie Octopus would be fitting right now. Which color did we get? I forgot. I'm so glad we didn't get the really, really ugly one. I forget what the really, really ugly one was. But there was a hideous one. And I was like, we put it to a vote. And I'm so glad that one didn't win. I have to do the same now, so you feel me? We're going to get this. Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, look at this, though. Look at this insanity. It says 218 on my stream dashboard. But, like, look at how many subscribers I have right now. That's insane. That's crazy. That's over 200 subscribers. What the fucking shit fuck? Previously, before, like, this year, my milestone was 100. I'd hit 100 sometime last year or the year before. And that was the peak. That was where I had gotten and cascaded back downwards. I reached 100 on one occasion and then it soared back down to like the 30s and 40s. Never reached that level ever again until relatively recently. And now we've been pretty consistently sitting over 200 for a while. And it's like, if that ain't poggers as fuck, I don't know why I'm doing hand symbols. I'm now Doctor Strange. I'm going to open some portals. Why am I referencing Marvel movies? I'm actually getting sick of them. Cancel me if you want. Yeah, I think we did get the Sunset one. You had a 400... What's the R? What does the R stand for? Like, I know it's the currency, but for the electricity to be reconnected after they illegally disconnected it. Fuck that shit. What a bunch of assholes. Rand, there you go. How much does that equate to in, like, Australian dollars? Because, like, I was getting harassed by my energy company today. On the phone, they kept sending me calls. They kept sending me an automated bot. They kept calling me with a bot. Hello, this is your energy company. And I went online and just paid the bill. And then after I paid it, they sent me another one of these calls. We have not received your payment for your electricity. They better get the fucking payment, because if they cut my energy off after I've paid them, there will be I will take that legal. About $40 Australian. Okay. Working on growing your Twitch and getting any subscribers at all. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, when someone actually subscribes, it's like, oh my goodness, this person likes me enough to support me, which I 100% endorse. Of course. Why am my stream is playing in front of myself, and that's distracting as all hell. Yeah, like, I fully endorse the idea of supporting your favorite creators if you have the means to do so, of course. if you have the means to do so. Don't push yourself by any stretch of the imagination. July, welcome. How you going? What's going on? But yes, if you do have the opportunity, of course, it's worthwhile to chuck a couple of bucks, like we've mentioned before, you know, to most people who are watching. Well, that feels a bit rude because Twitch is an arena. There we go. Thank you.
Support.
Thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you so kindly. You are lovely. For most, I want to say the most, I want to say that most of the audience on Twitch is American, you know, but we can't really say that specifically because Twitch is an international website, obviously. I'm in Australia. There's a bunch of people all over the world, but generally speaking, you know, we say it's $5. Thank you for the past check, Fox. But we say it's $5. It's just $5. It's the cost of a snack box at KFC, or the Go Bucket, they call it nowadays. Anyway, generalization, I know. Consiglio, I don't know who that is, but they think I'm good looking. Thank you. My eyeshadow is pretty. I'm glad you like it. It's glittery. But you can't see it. I hate that. I've also got extremely heavy brows. Extremely, look at this shit. I need to fix the brow here. Look at the way that comes out. I need to get rid of this whole section here. I just need to get rid of this whole bit and trim it and refine it. Look at that. That's a mess. Yes, she. Should the Australian Senate be abolished? Some argue it is inherently authoritarian as the public does not decide who will represent them. I don't know. That's a tricky question. Perhaps. I would say there is an element. By the way, Noam, welcome to the Rogue Room. I'd say there's probably an element of authoritarianism to it. I'd need to look more into our voting system, honestly. It's been a while since I've been caught up on that whole thing. Does it count if you're white passing outside of regular circumstances, but your hometown everyone knows you're the child of a well-known Aboriginal elder? In regular circumstances. Baby wins. Welcome to the Rogue Room. I mean, I think, yes, white passing privilege is definitely a thing. You know, if you pass as white in areas away from your hometown, for example, then yeah. But if you're in your hometown, I mean, it's a very convoluted situation there. But generally speaking, there is this attitude of what white passing counts as. So, for example, white Hispanics, which becomes a whole discussion I've noticed this among certain racial groups where they will, and I mean, don't get me wrong, there are white people who do this to each other as well. Yeah, but there are some who, it's kind of like the bisexual thing, you know? There are certain people, like I mentioned, the white Hispanics or white Aboriginal folks or things like that. There are certain members of those communities who will say you're not this enough, you're not Aboriginal enough, you're not Hispanic enough, because they're white passing or maybe even lean into white culture. Oh my god, I said white culture unironically. What the fuck? No, that's not a thing. Full-blown half indigenous, but your white genetics are so potent that during the colder months you're basically a regular white person. There you go. People get shocked that Tom's brother is his brother because Tom looks white and Adam does not. Wait, what? The fuck is a white culture? I think it's mold. Is eating cheese. Oh fuck. I'll tell you what white culture is. This shit reminds you of a joke. Can you become a mod? Well, I don't know. I'm not inherently familiar with you. I tend to only mod people I'm familiar with. You can fascinate a woman by giving her a piece of cheese. Your fiancé is half Mexican. Lana Meadows, welcome to the Rogue Room. What's the difference between America and cheese? I would give a woman a piece of cheese to fascinate her. What's the difference between America and cheese? After a few hundred years, the cheese develops a culture. Do you think if someone was born into a family of leftists, is that a privilege? Yeah, arguably, in a sense. Depends on, the thing is, leftists aren't really technically a social group, so to speak. It's an ideology, being leftist. But I suppose it could easily fascinate you with cheese. It's, I suppose in some ways it is. In some ways it is. I suppose anyway. I'm just thinking for a second. Hold on. That's a tricky one, actually. White culture is hijacking other cultures. The thing is, like, we've mentioned this before, that, like, we can't, like, there is, the first thing they've written in chat. What is, oh, the thing about asking to be a mod. Yeah, no, you can't be a mod for one message. No. Give me a fancy cheese. Just so, what about, like, a really sharp cheddar, though? Like, a sharp cheddar. Why am I so short? Why do I look so short? You can get a sharp, bitey cheddar. That's a nice cheese. Now we're talking white culture, folks. Let me turn this down a bit. This is very, very bright. There we go. That's a little bit more reasonable. Maybe that. It's a little bit more reasonable. White culture is flannel and denim. That's lesbian culture. I was just thinking that. I am small. I'm a very small baby who is actually rather large. I'm 5'11". A woman should probably never reveal her height, but here we are. I'll tell you what privilege is, though. Let's talk about this for a second, because I actually want to get something off my chest. I want to get something off my chest, and it pisses me the fuck off. So, give me a second to prep myself here, because there's a lot I want to say. About this Facebook post I saw, right? Yes, I'm hitting the stream marker because we're doing a video. This is a video, all right? But my friends, privilege is something that we all have to some extent, unless you're like deep in the third world kind of a situation, and some have it more than others. Like you and I, streamer, viewer, that kind of thing, I think it's inherent that we have some level of privilege to even be able to A, create the content, and B, consume it. So we've both got that privilege there, you know? By the very definition. If you're sitting here in chat, I assume you have a smartphone. I assume you have maybe a PC or a PlayStation or whatever it is that you're watching this on. And to have access to that is a privilege, you know? But one of the problems that those with exceptional privilege experience is that they hate being confronted with the reality that, yes, they have it quite a bit better than a significant portion of the population who don't have the social advantages they have. Right? BIPOC lesbians appreciate the flannel and denim. It's lesbian culture. It's just lesbian culture. You're watching this telepathically. That's a privilege. You have X-Men privilege, alright? Hey, Cool Stars, how's it going? Tonight, I wanted to take a look at the attitude of this dude, James Smith. He's a personal trainer from right here in Australia who I suppose is angry at the fact that some people on social media have called him out for his in-your-face attitude about his work ethic or some such nonsense. He posted this today on Facebook, so like earlier this morning, or I guess like right around midday or whatever, and it immediately caught my attention about it, so I tweeted about it. But here's what he's written, right? Here's the post that he's written here. I took a screenshot of it because I didn't want to show, like, I didn't want to accidentally dox myself on Facebook. But he goes, I've had enough. People don't use me as a personal trainer just because I'm white. People don't buy my books because I'm male. Having my gender correspond with my birth sex did not sell out my last tour. Being heterosexual did not make me a #1 Sunday Times bestseller. I don't know what the Sunday Times is, but anyway. Being able-bodied is something I pay into every day with training and good dieting. What the woke cunts see as privilege is more often than not hard work. Yeah, it helps you sleep at night pointing the finger at any category you can slot me in for your ideological beliefs. 10 years ago, I was knocking door-to-door sales in a cold UK winter waiting for this moment. I've sacrificed so much for my work, family time, relationships. I've changed the accent as we're going along. And I haven't had a day off or a sick day in over 5 years. From the bottom of my heart, fuck you. If we continue to discriminate against hard work as privilege, we're going to create an even softer generation of the one we live in now. People without the capacity to work hard hiding behind the guise of social justice. You can suck my privileged cisgender testicles. I'm just like, he doesn't have a voice at this point. It's just an amalgamation of different voices. I'm just changing it every sentence. Labeling me as all these things is making the situation worse. I see humanity as one. I don't pick people apart on their sexual preference or skin. Shut up, Abigail. And I certainly don't discriminate against anyone from what I see on face value. They love to say that one.
I see you've brought guests.
Hey!
Welcome, friends.
Mrs. Kite, welcome to the Rogue Room. How's it going, Raiders? What's going on? Why am I doing this? Let's get some raid hype in chat. Can we get some raid hype? Welcome to the Rogue Room, Mrs. Kite. How are you doing? How was your stream? What were you getting up to? Tell us all about it. Let me just put on my raid hype scene thing. Well, not scene. You get some colors. You get some brightly changing colors. As we begin our chat on privilege. Don't mistake hard work and dedication for privilege. Your kids may thank me in 10 years' time. Thank him for what? Not today, you woke cunts. Not today. What a pretentious fuckwit. Speedy Speed 6969, welcome to the Rogue Room. How are you going? How'd your stream go, Mrs. Kite? What'd you get up to? Tell us all about it. I'd love to hear it. But those factors didn't negatively impact you. Is that man okay? Yes, it didn't, sir. Yeah. I don't have white privilege. I had to work for everything. Yes, but your skin color didn't make that harder. Exactly. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to break this down. All right. Thank you so kindly for the raid. Oh my god, Katrina. Been a long time since anyone woke my cunt. Fuck, okay. Okay. Now, we'll just change this because it's distracting. Success in the fitness, yeah. I want to do a whole thing on the fitness industry, dude. It's a whole... The fitness industry is entirely a grift. The entire industry is a grift. Anywho. I thought it would be a fun activity to go through this entire post together and pick it apart piece by piece, because this was clearly written by a guy who has had the world handed to him on a silver platter, and he absolutely loathes anyone he sees as too lazy to succeed. We need an awakened Abby emote. We do. I need more emotes. Oh, partner. Get me to partner. And ultimately, he's a pull yourself up by the bootstraps type. My appearance means that I often get my race questions in South Africa, but more often than not I experience white privilege in many ways. For example, my black friend who needed to have his data recovered on a laptop that stopped turning on, the local computer store refused to do until he could prove he purchased the laptop. Impossible since it was bought secondhand. You walked in, they did it for you on the spot. White people don't fully realize their privilege. Exactly. That kind of shit happens all the time. Like, I was reading a bunch of stories earlier about successful black people who had purchased themselves a nice car, a Lexus or a Porsche or whatever, and in this, one of the stories in particular was the guy got pulled over 3 times in one day because the cops were questioning him on, is this really your car? And eventually these people are returning the cars to the dealerships because they keep getting pulled over by cops. The privilege is right out there. It's blatantly demonstrable. But anyway, first he starts out with this whole thing of people don't use me as a personal trainer because I'm white, which is demonstrably false, as we just elucidated. In a number of societies around the world, white people are treated as superior for a number of reasons, even in subtle ways. And yeah, this is demonstrably false because as someone who lives in a predominantly white society, I want to pose this question to you. How often do we see marketing using white people as successful types? That's a thing. According to this guy, if I work out hard enough, my kidneys... Oh, yeah. Being able-bodied is a result of working out and dieting. If you just work out and diet, don't worry, you'll be a not quadriplegic in no time. Right? And we do have to first look at the fact that James is successful. James Smith, the PT, the guy we're talking about. Which would be influenced by his race in the first place. So people might not necessarily go him... people aren't going to him as a PT for the color of his skin, but it has at some point earlier in his life given him advantages that would not be afforded to a person of color as easily in a predominantly white society. That's outright privilege. Opportunities to network with other successful individuals and thus climb the ladder to success would have inevitably been more likely to occur because this guy's Caucasian in the first place. So they're not necessarily, like I mentioned a second ago, they're not necessarily going to him as a PT because they're white, because he's white. But his white privilege, there's that scary woke language, definitely played a part in him having the success in the first place. Definitely played a part in him getting to where he is. You're about half an hour late. That's all right, Raw. Welcome in. The next part is pretty egregious, and I feel like most of you will have easily drawn this conclusion right off the bat. People don't buy my books because I'm male. This one is a bit more convoluted, but to sum up, written works, particularly popular best-selling ones, have been historically male-dominated, and this is inherently due not just to male privilege in terms of selling books, not just the customer base, but in terms of them getting published in the first place. Much as I hate to bring up Joanne, she originally opted to publish Harry Potter under the name J.K. Rowling because it was ambiguous. It could very well have meant Jimothy Kevin instead of Joanne Kathleen. And of course, her more recent stories, her more recent novels, the detective thriller ones, penned under the name Robert Galbraith, which at this point is largely irrelevant because we all know it's her anyway. But the point that publishers have historically had a tendency towards hiring writers they perceive as male. As a result, it's easier for a man to get published, get their books on the shelves, and they'll start making sales. One story I actually recall that stands out in this vein was there was an author who contacted a ton of different literary agents under her real name before swapping out her name for a male one and submitting again. And 5 of the 6 agents she contacted after changing the name were suddenly willing to work with him, right? And I'll find that story and we'll come back to it. I've got a link to it. And then we come to the trans stuff because of fucking course. Having my gender correspond with my birth sex did not sell out my last tour. This one is just facetiousness for its own sake. How many trans and non-binary speakers have you even heard of, James? Chat? How many of these kinds of self-help, fitness guru, personal trainer types have you seen that are even vaguely in the same space as this bloke? Who are trans and non-binary in the first place? You know? Be honest with yourselves here. It's demonstrably more difficult for someone to gain any sort of traction or following as a gender non-conforming individual, especially given a lot of people still look at trans and NB folks as something to be pointed and laughed at, like in Ace Ventura. We have minimal visibility, yeah. Especially in academic work, we talked about it recently because we were talking about the inherent masculinity of the APA writing style. Academic writing heavily favors men, yeah, exactly. And literally no speakers. And it feels like he's just literally going through every single little privilege he could be criticized for and nitpicking as much as possible to make it look like he has a point, which he doesn't. Being heterosexual didn't make me the #1 Sunday Times bestseller. This is just gloating at this point. Like, the two things do not necessarily correlate, but again, being that the vast majority of society is straight, chances are they're more likely to buy books that do not have a specific queer focus or are written by a straight author. You've probably noticed things like this. People like to read things that are more relatable to themselves, which is its own privilege, i.e., you're a part of the majority, thus you appeal to the majority. Sexuality isn't super relevant to this whole self-help fitness nonsense as well, but I dare say if your books were written by yourself as a gay man, James, then they would dissuade at least a portion of the potential audience. Am I wrong? Like, if he was an open gay man, there would be some level. Let me fix my camera here. My camera's a bit wonky. You know, if he was an out and proud gay man, that would dissuade certain members of his potential audience. He might gain the gay audience a little bit, which is its own privilege at this point. You know. I think there is a point of particularly attractive gay men where that becomes its own privilege, but that's another discussion. Well, it's part of this discussion, but we're talking about a guy who is, quite frankly, a default fucking character having a whinge about privilege. However, all that other stuff aside, as Rena's mentioned, as a bunch of you have mentioned, I think, and a bunch of people on social media, a bunch of people responding to this Facebook post have mentioned, the major point I want to address here, and the one I've noticed a lot of people take chagrin with, is his absolute and complete misunderstanding of what ableism is. Being able-bodied is something I pay into every day with training and good dieting. Right? Now, I would really just like to sit here and rub my temples for the next 5 minutes straight, but the reality of the situation is that not being able-bodied isn't about looking good in the mirror. If someone is not able-bodied, It's not because they're too lazy to have a six-pack. It's not because they can't run a 10-minute mile. It's not because they can't deadlift 200 kilos. It's not about being unwilling to go to the gym and diet in the first place and work your ass off for the ability to have a nice, healthy physique or healthily perceived physique. Not being able-bodied is about physical disability, James. You know, the thing that prevents people from paying into with training and dieting. If someone is physically disabled, that means anyone who is able-bodied has able-bodied privilege. It's not about looking good. Now, don't get me wrong here, there are some notable athletes I have seen who are explicitly not able-bodied. There's a guy I can think of who literally has no lower half of his body and is absolutely ripped in the upper half, completely shredded. He's ridiculous. Like, it's obscene. This dude is absolutely incredibly muscular, but he's just got nothing below the waist. There's nothing there. But the reality of the situation is that most people who are physically disabled to the point of being in such pain that they can't work out or even function normally according to society's standards will look at a guy like James and rightfully claim he's ableist for saying this kind of shit, because it absolutely is. It's dismissing those who live with amputations, chronic pain, those in wheelchairs, quad and paraplegics, virtually anyone who lives with a physical condition that would prevent them from paying into an able body every single day, like James suggests. And yeah, default character. He's a default character. And most people don't live with a disability or live with the ones that are more easily manageable and thus afforded the privilege of being not hindered by it in their day-to-day lives. And then, of course, he goes on to trash the woke cunts and blah, blah, blah. Listen to my sob story about how my life was so hard before all the privilege I have piled on and I was allowed the opportunity to succeed like so few others have. This is a man who can't take criticism. At the end of the day, that's what I'm seeing here. This is the equivalent of a toddler throwing a tantrum because you took away his favorite toy and decided to feed him vegetables instead of ice cream. This is the attitude he's putting out there. James Smith is the kind of person who will sell you on the idea that you can be just as successful as he can, but at the end of the day, he's a snake oil salesman. Just like every other one of these self-help guru fuckwits. And the outstanding thing here is he absolutely wants to encourage an echo chamber of sycophants who think and act just like he does. There are other social media posts. And that's another distinct privilege he has. He can absolutely do that. Okay, he wants to build an echo chamber, and he has explicitly outright gone out of his way to say, if you don't like me, don't follow me, unfollow me. Meanwhile, he can shout down people of color, women, queer people, disabled people, and act as though he's in the right for it because he's screeching about how he worked so hard to get to where he is. He worked so hard. And yeah, I don't doubt, for the record, I don't doubt he actually has worked hard. I don't doubt it. I'm not saying he hasn't, but in some capacity, the opportunity to even work hard to reach those career heights in the first place is distinctly a privilege, and it's one he refuses to acknowledge. And he would rather post these screechy, angry blog posts, cackling maniacally in the face of criticism, screaming, "No, I'm right, you're just a bunch of crybaby woke cunts. Suck my privileged cisgender testicles." Rather than accepting and owning the privilege he does have. You know? He'd rather yell at some nobody on Instagram who commented on his post.
Your recommendation.
Jellyzine, thank you for the host. He would rather... We're talking about James Smith. He's a PT in Australia, Turbo. Don't worry, this is going to be a video. I promise you, I am going to turn this into a YouTube video. But this is the thing that gets me the most about this, right?
Rogue Room appreciates your recommendation.
Noctane, thank you for the host. Forgot you came to Twitch to do something else. You'll be back, right? Yo, Jelly. Anyway, What gets me the most about this whole blog post, this whole tantrum that he's chucked on social media, rather than accepting and owning the privilege he does have, he'd rather yell at some nobody on Instagram who commented on one of his posts. A comment that, by the way, got a single like 2 days after he posted it. This is what I'm referencing. He posted this meme attached to the blog posting. And he has white, male, straight, cisgender, able-bodied privilege on top of everything. Posted 2 days ago, as of his screenshot, 1 like. This was a comment that no the fuck anyone, no the fuck body, you know what I mean. Misky, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? What's going on? This is a comment that nobody gave a fuck about. 1 like. Or maybe I just simply worked out for a decade. Yeah, insecurity to the utmost degree. And you see this among a bunch of people like him, where they get to a point where they are successful. They get to a point where they are, you know, they've made it basically. And I don't think he's necessarily made
I
it.
see you
Mona,
brought guests.
hello, lovely.
Welcome.
Welcome, Raiders.
friends.
What's going on, Raiders? What's happening? Sand, welcome to the Rogue Room. Hello, friends. We're talking privilege tonight. How are you going? How was the stream? Tell us all about it. We're just going to take a brief pause while we welcome everybody and welcome to the Rogue Room. Misky or Misky? I feel like Mona might actually be intimately familiar with the topic of privilege. You strike me as an informed individual. We're talking about the concept of social privilege right now in specific reference to a bloke who can't accept his own. Favorite 2 streamers in one place. Well, that's awesome. Way longer than you intended. I wish I could do that. I really do want to do, you know, long streams that's like, oh, I'm going to end here and then go for another 3 hours. Turbo, welcome to the Rogue Room. I just realized your name is Turbo Slut. Gnarly. So what were you talking about tonight? Tell us all about it. What were you getting up to tonight? You might not have been talking. I don't know. What were you getting up to? Ow. Streaming some retro? What were you playing? I've got a problem. I opened a spice jar today. It had a little plastic thing I had to peel off, and I sliced my finger I sliced under my fingernail with the plastic. I don't recommend you do that. Ow. I am in pain. Talking about social issues and played some Chrono Trigger, then a complete playthrough of Super Mario World. Only a ROM hack where you are the playable character. That's sick. That sounds awesome. What's up, Red? Is that yeah, cat? It's pain. I'm just stomaching it right now. Just going, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. I honestly had no idea that Lani was, you know, the girlfriend of someone semi-famous on leftist YouTube until relatively recently, and I'm like, oh, is that who that is? We interact quite regularly, and I'm just like, oh, I kind of know someone. Let's get rid of it. Let's get back to our bisexual lighting. I need claws like the lady from X-Men 2. Oh, yeah. Was she? Oh, yeah, she's the one that's got the fingernail claws. Like the big giant vampire lady from Resident Evil Village. Lady Deathstrike.
You are now one
Draco,
of
thank
us.
you for gifting 3 months to Mona. I gotta say, I love the X-Men. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of, like, comics and stuff like that. I don't really get into it. But the aesthetic of the X-Men just is cool. Like, if we were gonna do a situation in fiction where it's like a bunch of awkward kids go off to an academy and train in their powers, X-Men is like the peak. I mean, I know it's not all about the kids in school thing, but it's just, I just love that when we have the awkward kids get taken away to a special school kind of fantasy, that setting, that fiction, X-Men is just the best. It's just awesome. Cute as hell, thank you so much. And the Pusheen shirt, I love this shirt. I'm busy. I should check out Umbrella Academy, actually. I've heard that's good. I've heard that's quite good. But, like, on a similar note, you know, if we look at, say, Harry Potter, and then we look at stuff like, well, I can't think of any other examples, actually, of that same kind of concept. But I was thinking about young adult fiction today, specifically stuff like Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and the ultimate trope-laden vanilla garbage amidst all of it. The least original piece of fiction I think I've ever seen in my life. It is nothing but stereotypes, nothing but tropes. Fucking Divergent. Fuck that series. Rena. Us. There you go. Hello, fellow queers. How you doing, Abyss? Witch Mystique. You're more a fan of Rebecca Romaine. Rebecca Romaine was good, yeah. I kind of got sick of What's her name? I've forgotten what her name is. I've forgotten what the actress' name is. The newer one, the newer Mystique. I'm kind of like, I don't know. It became one of those situations where when you take a character when you take a character who's got such a, well, Twilight factors in there as well. But no, Divergent is shit. When you take the actress from an already existing very popular franchise, I think the way like Daniel Radcliffe followed up Harry Potter, the way he went about his career was really good. He just, didn't immediately jump into another huge franchise. He went off and did a bunch of indie projects, and it was, I feel like his artistic career was better for it. But, we'll come back to the privilege talk in just a sec. Because I want to wrap up. I got a few more thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Emma Watson became an activist. She's been in a few other movies. But, like, I can't think of her fucking name. You take the actress from the Hunger Games and immediately throw her into another big franchise like X-Men and put her at the forefront again. And it's just kind of like, it's not a bad thing, necessarily. Jennifer Lawrence, that's it. I think I got a bit of, like, fatigue with that actress specifically. Because big franchise straight to another big franchise. I don't know if she's doing another one at some point. There you go. But I don't know. I shouldn't speak on what actors' decisions are. Anyways. So where were we? Let's go back to James Smith for a second. The dickhead who posted this ranty blog post thing. Again, after someone commented on his Instagram post with a comment that was criticizing all of his privilege. He flew off the handle over a comment that had 1 like on his Instagram post. And if he was actually worried about valid criticism, he'd do or say something about it. But I guess that's just a lot easier for him to attack minorities. That's ultimately what this boils down to. And then he has the gall to suggest that people unfollow him if they don't like him. Like I mentioned before, he cultivates an echo chamber. Because this is someone who is absolutely wrapped up in influencer culture and yet screams that he's not an influencer. So this is another post of his. He goes, keep in mind I'm doing you all a favor literally all the time, every day. If you're an easily offended snowflake, who's the one that sounds like a snowflake here? Honestly, I'd much rather you unfollowed me before we accidentally ended up in bed together doing business. I'm always going to be unapologetically a fucking shit cunt, and just because you spot a little blue tick, don't mistake me for someone who's going to bend over backwards to try and stop you from getting offended. It just sounds to me like he really, really wants to upset people and gets off on it. That's the kind of vibe I get from this dude. The world's becoming soft and I've never done a paid post. I mean, I can kind of respect that part. I probably wouldn't do like ads, mid-rolls and things like that. I prefer not to. Someone can't handle their steroids. Every post, podcast, book is with the motive of helping people learn what they need. It's truly embarrassing when you type unfollowed in the comments again. Why is he so obsessed with what one person might say in his comment sections? Imagine if a loved one or colleague saw that. Who fucking cares? I feel like if someone does type unfollowed in his comments and a friend or loved one or a colleague or whatever saw that, they're going to be like, okay. And they'll move on with it. Like, they're not going to freak out at that person. It's not embarrassing to unfollow. I mean, announcing it's kind of like, okay, whatever. If you don't like anything I do, you're not obliged to come here and interact. But the truth is, I really enjoy it still. The woke complaints get me the most new followers from their friends through the engagement algorithms. Mad how people can't fathom I'd rather have a smaller following that wasn't full of moany little self-righteous cunts. Who's being self-righteous? Instead of a larger following busting my balls for getting a transgender pronoun incorrect by accident. Methinks he's a little transphobic. And then he posts this. Sycophantic, behaving or done in an obsequious way in order to gain an advantage. A sycophant is essentially a yes man. That's essentially what a sycophant is. And he's actively trying to cultivate a following of yes men. Ooh. So what's the go with the definition of sycophantic at the end there? What's he trying to say? What's the point he's trying to make? Considering he desperately wants only people who follow him to agree with him. He wants a legion of sycophants. Anywho. Transgender pronoun. You mean a pronoun? I know. And then when people do outright state in his comment sections that they're unfollowing him, yeah, like he calls them out for saying it. It's like it's so egregious. And these are the people like him are the ones who are constantly going on about how fragile other people are, about how snowflakey other people are, and then he makes a bunch of blog posts exactly like this, constantly just proving how insecure he is about his own following in the first place. How do you get to be the size he is? I think he's got about nearly 500,000 followers on Facebook, and I think nearly 1 million, like 800,000 on Instagram or whatever it is. So, you know, how do you get to that size and not learn the slightest bit of humility when it comes to people responding to you online? Surely that energy would be better spent. You know, I don't know though. Okay, I don't know. I'm just some lazy Twitch streamer who can't succeed because I'm a gay, disabled, transgender or something. I think that was the point he was trying to make. Fucking Wankstain. Anyway. The person who posts, "If you're a politically triggered snowflake," is the same person who expressed how angry he is about illegal immigrants taking over America. Yeah, that's the same thing. Like, yeah, this is childish bullshit. This is childish bullshit. And it's all because somebody pointed out that he's got privilege in his comment section on Instagram. A comment that got 1 like. Where's his Instagram page? Let's find his Instagram page, mate. Where is it? Where is his Instagram page? I wonder how many... Yeah, here we go. James Smith PT. Yeah, like I said, 803.7 thousand followers. And just, like, look at the dude. Just imagine that you don't know anything about him. You look at this bloke, and I immediately assume privilege on appearance alone. Look at this bloke. This is the very epitome. Oh, this is a video. I don't want to watch a video of the cunt. They're all videos. I don't want videos. But, like, I look at this dude. You have no idea who he is, and you immediately... I bet you immediately assume a lot about him just by looking at him. I have seen so many people that match his exact description. They match his exact description, right? And they are doing incredibly well for themselves. Incredibly well. Frat jock douchebag energy. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And this thing, the diets don't work thing, I could take issue. I could take umbrage with the whole diets don't work thing all day. At the end of the day, to sum up, you know, everyone has a diet. If you want to lose weight, drop your calories. Move more. End of discussion. If you want to lose weight, eat less, move more, we're done. Did I assume his privilege as a blonde-haired, white, tanned, muscular man? Like tanned white, with a bit of a scruffy beard. Yes, I'm assuming his privilege. What you assume is that he doesn't know how to breathe through his nose. I think that's ableist. I don't know. At any rate. Yeah, I'm just like, I saw this, and this is the second post that I've seen of his recently, and this one here, the one that we were talking about, the one that kicked off this whole discussion, the reason I wanted to talk about this in the first place. Because it's so ridiculously, honestly selfish. You know, he can't think of anybody else unless the way in which he is thinking about other people is, look how much I am helping you. Like, he doesn't think about the fact that his existence, his privilege, is his success. Or rather, his success is his privilege. Yeah, I'd be embarrassed to post this shit too. And I'm a cocky cunt. Trust me. I'm an arrogant bitch. I constantly post self-aggrandizing photos of myself on Instagram and Twitter all the fucking time. I love me. I'm gorgeous. But I'm not this much of a cunt about it. I have a bit of humility. A bit of self-respect. A little bit. Like that much. Like maybe if you were to measure it out in metric, 23 mils. I have about 23 mils of humility in a bottle, and I keep it over there. It's got a little fridge. I don't use it often. Anyway, it's a massive nose. About the same size of your pee-pee. But yeah, who was it that mentioned they were reading a book about privilege and it was specifically talking about racial privilege? Somebody mentioned this, and it's worth noting W.E.B. Du Bois. Who's heard of W.E.B. Du Bois? This is from Wikipedia. Excuse me. Arguably, the history of privilege as a concept dates back to American sociologist and historian W.E.B. Du Bois' 1903 book, The Souls of Black Folk. Here he wrote that although African Americans were observant, were observant of white Americans and conscious of racial discriminations, white Americans did not think much about African Americans, nor about the effects of racial discrimination. Right? So, what does that tell you about the post that we just read about James? That we just read from James. If we come back to this, I'll bring this back up again. Where's my thing? If we come back to this, right? This sounds like a person who is just simply, or is only really recently being exposed to the idea that he is privileged. He's one of those people that, to my mind, the way I'm reading this, and the way I did used to see the world myself, is that when everything's comfortable for you, you just assume to not think about anyone else's problems. You know, I wasn't perfectly comfortable, but I didn't consider the effects that being white, being straight, being cis, being male. I didn't consider the fact that all of those things did give me a lot of ease of existence in the grand scheme of things, contrasted with other people who weren't those things. You know, wouldn't jump to conclusions as some people who've had horrible childhoods do everything they can not to feel alien. I read about the childhood of Joaquin Phoenix. I have not. I'll have to look into that. Trying not to judge a book by its cover, as you were taken under the wing of a conservative chief whip who did counseling at the local mental health services, and he really helped you post your first suicide attempt. I'm not quite sure what that relates to with James Smith, though. But I mean, I get your point. You don't think of the color of a person. People that point it out or mention it are the racists. How exactly is acknowledging that racial inequality exists racist? Like, how exactly is pointing out that, for example, was it 6 Asian people or 8 Asian people? Were they all Asian in the recent shooting in, was it Georgia? Fuck, I've forgotten already. Stop shooting people, America. But there was the recent, the recent shootings at the massage parlor. And outright an Asian, 7 of 8 were Asian, okay. Outright racial hate crime. It is still worth pointing out that those people were Asian, because it identifies the problem of racially targeted violence. You know, it's not racist to point out that race exists. It's racist to dismiss it and say that someone might not. It was Georgia, okay. It's racist to dismiss someone's problems that might be related to their race. You know, by the basis of like, oh, they've got a bunch of other ways that they can fix things. If you don't think of the color of the person, that's racism. People of different skin colors, races, ethnicities are treated differently. Precisely, Mona. Thank you. Being colorblind just allows you to be ignorant of the differences between black and white experiences. Yeah, precisely. And that's exactly what sorry, W.E.B. Du Bois, I'm an asshole. In 1935, Du Bois wrote about what he called the wages of whiteness held by white Americans. He wrote that these included courtesy and deference, unimpeded admittance to all public functions, lenient treatment in court, and access to the best schools. So, what Du Bois has wrote about, although Americans were observant of white Americans and conscious of racial discriminations, we've had this issue going back forever. The notion that there are a lot of white people who simply do not see race, maybe because the only people of color in their life are the few privileged ones that are actually, like, when I say privileged, I mean in terms of class. You know, the few who've been able to reach a point of success. To use a rather, perhaps dated term, the token black friend, for example. If there were, example, a bunch of bougie white boys in Venice Beach hanging out, and they had one black friend, just because that one black friend might be wealthy enough to have gotten into the social circle of those white dudes, doesn't mean there's not millions of black people living in poverty and in unequal situations. The majority of these issues exist in the US, and I don't understand how a country can base themselves on liberty and also lean so far away from it at the same time. Yeah, capitalism requires an underclass, and it's easy to categorize that underclass by race, is the way I would phrase it. Regrettably, that seems to be how it works. When they have to interrupt a police trial for a school shooting, you're watching American TV. Oh my god, that is so morbid. But I get the point. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, America, racial inequality exists. Yeah, race has no real biological basis, but is rather a social construct. There is something to suggest that, I don't want to say this because it does sound racist, but there are certain races that have a few different physiological effects based on, I suppose this is, would this be evolution in a sense? But for example, I think, let me think. I think there is, I'm trying to think of what exact example I want to go for here. I think Asian people are generally more susceptible to alcohol or something along those lines, but it's not like a set in stone thing. It's just like, statistically speaking, I don't know. And then I think white people are also dairy tolerant, which is not, like, humans are supposed to be lactose intolerant. So lactose tolerance is unusual. I don't know. Does anyone have science to back that up? I don't have any science on me. Another thing you want to talk about. Yes, Phage, what's up? Sometimes even if a person is so sheltered in their view of race, could be altered too. Yeah, true. Some people try so hard to be normal that they sometimes end up holding politics or opinions which they don't understand or are mentally trained to be racist, because of when your half-brother was living with your dad and stepmother, he had some really racist views, especially towards Asians, but once he moved to Manchester and finally married, he moved to the normality of centre-left. Interesting. I mean, everyone has the potential to change their viewpoints on certain things. Everyone has the potential to move, either left or right, really. People can be radicalized in one direction or the other, or people can be pushed in one direction or another. And it's largely based on the ideas that we are surrounded by. If you were explicitly racist against Asian people for some reason, and you moved to an area where you were forced to engage with new social ideas, such as, for example, moving to a much more multicultural area where there were more Asian people, and you started making new friends, maybe you're a parent who goes to a daycare group, and you start like making friends with the other parents, and you might casually say something about Asian folks, and one of the other parents says to you, "Oh, hey, that's not, why'd you say that about Asian folks?" And then, that puts that little seed of doubt in your head. Now, that can go one way or the other. That could go towards the direction of, oh, maybe I shouldn't be saying these things about people of another race. Or it could go the route of further radicalizing someone towards deeper racism, of course. It's like, oh, these fucking losers don't agree with my viewpoints on them Asians. That kind of thing. All people were originally lactose intolerant. White people were the first to breed it out of themselves. There you go. Breeding it out. That's kind of... Oh my god, I hate that phrase. That's eugenics, but it is the point. That is the point. Part of tokenism is also taking the opinion of one conservative black person and apply it to black people in general rather than looking at movements of POCs. The starving countries are starving because of colonial pillaging. Yeah, true. Yeah, the phrase breeding it out, once you, condense that down to just that phrase, you're just like, oh shit, that's eugenics. Jordan St. Jones, welcome to the Rug Room. However, there is a point to be made there. It's like, yes, white people did essentially make themselves tolerate milk and cheese and things like that. We weren't supposed to, but we were just like, we like milk and cheese a lot. So whenever somebody is like, when they say I'm lactose intolerant and they're white, particularly when they're white, it's actually, that's normal. Most people are lactose intolerant. If you can quote your favorite rapper, I'm a second generation black Caribbean and half white Scottish, whatever that means. Lately I feel confused with the boxers because all they seem to do is breed conflict. It's not like I've lost touch with reality of racism, sexism, and nationality. To me it all seems like insanity. Why must they rob you of your humanity? And then he goes on to say that the first people to be enslaved were the working class, and that has never changed. True. We're back to the white people and cheese. Fucking white people. Anyway. Milk and cheese equal food. That's a nice equation in the brain of our ancestors. White people? Tolerant? God. Oh. What was the joke I saw about milk? Somebody mentioned that they had a friend who would get a glass of milk and they'd mix in powdered milk. And somebody said their bones will be legendary or something like that. Yeah, some people can eat cheese but not drink milk, yeah. Native population of North America has an intolerance to alcohol, and Japanese lactose problems are part cultural, European white people. Sorry, I don't know, I read white culture actually. Have tolerance to the common cold, where we have no tolerance to malaria. True. Yeah, I can eat dairy with no issues. Meta milk. Somebody's gonna patent that now. Somebody's gonna come up with some kind of super strong milk. They're gonna call it meta milk. I guarantee it. Not lactose so much as casein intolerance. Interesting. There you go. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. So yeah, we're on privilege. We're on the privilege discussion. This is going well. I like this. Thank you so much for hanging around, folks. I thought this might be a bit of an obnoxious topic, but really, I don't think I've ever actually done a stream on privilege. And of course, the root of the discussion around privilege is race, by and large. However, we can consider class privilege. You know, I would need to... Excuse me. I would need to more explicitly expand my level of education on class, but I feel like a lot of these issues can come down to class in a lot of ways, but then I suppose class is made up of a number of the privileges we are aware of. Race, age, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, neurology is an interesting one. Oh, so I suppose like, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article again, by the way. Neurology would be, of course, well, if you say someone is R-word, that's ableist, but neurologically ableist. Religion's an interesting one. Religious privilege is an interesting one. We'll come back to that. Physical ability, which we already just covered with the James Smith thing, you know, him going on about how he works so hard every day for 10 years working out to get really super fit, not realizing that if somebody calls you able-bodied, it's not because you work out. It's because you got full capacity of your body like I do, you know. If I were to break my spine, though, and end up in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, then I would have lost that able-bodied privilege. And yes, there is actually some significant issues associated with that. All of a sudden, somebody who... I hate to say this. I really don't want to say this. But people who are physically enfeebled or psychologically enfeebled, disabled, I suppose, is probably the better phrase, are seen as a burden on society. That becomes... What's the opposite of privilege? I'm looking for the word that's the opposite of privilege. Can someone help me out? I don't know what the opposite of privilege is. Whatever, you know, if you don't have a privilege, what's the thing that you have? The thing that you don't have, the lack of privilege. Anyway, Black Lives Matter has been around so long. In July 2013, the movement began. Disadvantage is probably the word I want to use, yeah. With the hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media after the acquittal of George Zimmerman and the shooting death of Trayvon Martin. There you go. Yeah, Black Lives Matter is not a new movement. And it's just literally trying to bring... Yeah, I think disadvantage would be it. One of the most enlightening and challenging courses you took was race, class, and feminism. The way race, class, and gender are inextricably bound is fascinating and frustrating. It is. Burdened is probably a good one. Yeah. Well, I suppose the disadvantage of someone who is neurologically or physically disabled is the way they are marginalized. Yes, indeed. So someone who is, say, if you see a kid, like let's just put this out there right now. If you see a kid who has Down syndrome, or if you see a kid who has some high level of autism or something like that, out with their carer or their parent, you realize that person who has that specific disability, punishment is the antonym of privilege. There you go. Interesting. If you see someone that's got that, you can immediately assume that they're probably not likely to. For example, we have M Enigma. Welcome to the Red Room. If you were to say, for example, look at that Down syndrome kid. I say kid. He worked at McDonald's for 30 years. He was not a kid at the end of his career there, but he worked at McDonald's for 30-something years. Commendable. But do you think a guy with Down syndrome ever would have had any sort of social momentum working at McDonald's? Do you think he would have ever had the opportunity to escalate to managerial roles and then to higher management? You know, that's not going to happen. Non-privilege? That doesn't sound right. I feel like we need a different word for it, like disprivilege, in-privilege, unprivilege, anti-privilege. I don't know. Well, I suppose, you know, what... probably works. Unprivileged. I don't want a dictionary definition. I want to know. Can I look up antonyms? No. Okay. We need a different word for privilege itself. I suppose that would make sense. Antonyms of privilege. Sorry, let me speak. Antonyms of privilege. Disadvantage, hindrance, misfortune. Responsibility. Disapproval. Handicap is probably a good one. Underprivileged is probably the word. Yeah, there we go. That'd probably be the word, yeah. That would make the most sense. I would say handicap probably works as well. When you're referring to, say, if there was a job interview and there were 7 people going for this job interview, 6 of them were white and 1 of them was Asian, the Asian person has got that disadvantage. Because we do live in a white dominant society, and thus the racial privilege is prominent. Accessible and inaccessible apply to more than just how we enter buildings and such, for sure. Access and agency. Personally like BLM because they nearly instantly distanced themselves from the Nation of Islam, which you thought was wise. If Antifa separated from Black Bloc, you doubt there would be the misunderstandings to the general public, as some anarchist groups are as extreme as the Proud Boys, like ANCAPs. Yeah, I'm aware this is the problem, right? You know, BLM is, and even Antifa to an extent from what I've seen, are like the reasonable rebellion groups of the left. But there are completely unreasonable rebellion groups on the left, in the same way that there are unreasonable groups on the right. Stuff like the Proud Boys, you know. But regrettably, when you know there are extremist groups on both sides, if there is a big notable group like Antifa or BLM who is at the forefront of the discussion, they get labeled terrorists and get pushed, not like they don't get pushed ideologically to the far left, but they get represented as though they are ideologically on the far extreme authoritarian aspect of the left. No, it wouldn't be authoritarianism, would it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm dumb. I'm a dumb bimbo on the internet. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act became law, and it provided comprehensive civil rights protection for people with disabilities. It was probably the last major thing for differently abled people. There you go. I did not know that. Unrelated to your specific privilege besides maybe your queerness, but you're in a similar place. 5 years of Walmart work with no chance of moving up. Kiara!
Welcome.
You're
friends.
An awesome person. Can I just say, everyone go follow Kiara. Kiara is swell. I was going to say sick, but honestly, like, you know, I use the term sick as like sick, mate. Sick, but I don't want to call people sick. That makes it sound like they're like psychotic. Here's the raid thing. Thank you for the raid. You have the privilege to shut the hell up. School, welcome to the program. How's it going, folks? Thank you, Kiara, for the raid. What were you getting up to tonight? What were you getting up to? Let me give you a shout out here. We're doing alright. We're talking privilege right now. For the next 20 odd minutes or so before we take the break, and then we're going to do some news. And right now we're sort of moving on to groups like Antifa and BLM. Ginger, there you go. You said something earlier, didn't you? And I forgot what you said. Let me just quickly look up your... you said something, Gingerbeard, man, and I missed it. Oh, hang on. Okay. You just said hey. Well, hi. Sorry. Play dumb. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Trans, autistic, and Australian. That is correct. Sounds like your life story. It's good fun. It's good fun. Apparently you unfollowed. That's weird. Got follow botted. Oh no. Go to Commander Root. Go to Commander Root. That's all I'm gonna say. Just look up Commander Root tools in Google. Sort it out. Flamingo down. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Flamingo down. Flaming go down. If I was set to list all the UK anarchists you've come across, it would fill a book. As a trade unionist and anti-Brexiteer, you've seen extreme groups turning up to either counter-protest or just to cause trouble. Love talking to you guys because I love your views, and picking your brain about is something I appreciate, but you have to go have lunch. Sounds good. Bye, Val. Have a good lunch. Yes, look up Commander Root. Commander Root, if you get attacked by accounts that are not real accounts. I don't want to say it too much because I feel like it might actually incentivize. It's not working, Cop 6. It's not working? How so? They just put out a tool that supposedly bans millions of known bot accounts automatically, so they can never bot you with those accounts. Says the thing. It's not working. Flamin'? Alright. Oh, excuse me. Commander Root of the power plants. What was I going to use that tool? It does work. Takes about 5 days to run it. Yeah, it's millions and millions of accounts that get banned. Sorry, I'm just like having a gander at this privilege page for a sec, while we're sitting here in our raid colors. I don't know how long to leave this on for. We're gonna go back to bisexual lighting now because it's my vibe. There we go. I'm not saying there aren't extreme leftist groups. Saying black bloc tactics aren't a group, and some counter police tactics are necessary even among peaceful protesters. Not saying there aren't assholes at riot or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So wait, what happened with the pronouns thing? Hang on, let me go back. Call the person dude because he was a man dressing and acting like a woman. I mean, do you know if that person was, for example, a cross-dresser? Or were they a transgender person? Because to just outright dismiss a person's pronouns because you don't agree with them is not very unbased, very cringe. Very cringe. Like, that was a thing recently, actually. Where was it? There was a situation with Rose of Dawn as of recent, who posted a tweet. I've forgotten what it was. I've forgotten what it was exactly, but she posted something saying, I think it was about Cops Hate Mo. I can't remember what it, here we go. I can't remember exactly what it was. But Rose of Dawn put out a post saying something about Cops Hate Mo, and saying that she would refuse to refer to him by his pronouns, his correct pronouns. I think it was him. Because they disagreed on a topic. So she was treating the pronouns as a punishment. You never treat the pronouns as a punishment. That's not your... I mean, that's no one's authority. No one has the authority of their own pronouns, of anyone else's pronouns except their own. Right? You don't get to treat that as a punishment. If you disagree with someone, you don't get to take someone's pronouns and then dismiss them and call them by their dead gender or what have you. It's an outright dick move. It's just flagrant disrespect, and honestly, if you do that, then if for example, you're in a discussion with a person and you're disagreeing with them, and you immediately jump to the dismissing their pronouns in favor of other ones, you've lost the debate. You've lost the argument. You lose. You've accepted defeat. You've admitted defeat. That's how that works. Because you're going straight to ad hominem. You know, that's what using the wrong pronouns, what misgendering someone is ad hominem. When you have nothing more important to say, you have nothing to back up your arguments, that's when you concede defeat and you're just like, yeah, it's denying someone's identity. And you don't have the authority to do that. Someone's identity is their own. It's their own thing. It's none of your business, and you don't have the authority to change it on them. Don't understand why people are just okay with being a dick. I want to say I have an answer to that, but It's somewhat worse than... Well, I mean, it is directly ad hominem. That's the thing. It is directly ad hominem at the end of the day. But, well, like, how do we define ad hominem, technically speaking? Let me come back to Wikipedia. Because as far as my deduction of argumentum ad hominem is just a fallacious argument that attacks your opponent rather than their beliefs, right? It's just an insult. If I say that... Fuck, what are some stances I have? What are some stances I hold, folks? If I say to you that I think that America needs universal health care, for example. If I say to you that trans children in the United States should not have their health care rights taken away, and you say to me, well, you're a filthy tranny, that's ad hominem. If you were to say to me, if I say, trans children in Arkansas deserve to have health care rights, deserve to be able to take their puberty blockers and their hormone replacement therapy, and you say, well, you're an ugly man with a beard. You don't have that's not a response to the argument. It's not a response to my stance on the thing. You know, even if the argument has been heated, contentious, but, you know, like say for example, if two people are having a back and forth on Twitter and they are constantly bringing up the points that support their arguments, but they're doing so in an aggressive fashion and it's getting more and more and more heated, and eventually someone snaps and misgenders the opponent, then they've lost. You know, argumentum ad hominem is concession. That's what it is. I don't reject your identity, I reject your existence. Prove to me you are not an AI. What are those questions from Blade Runner again? What are the questions from Blade Runner again? Ask me. I won't talk like that again. I'll try to be more feminine. I'm sorry, I'll try to be a little bit more feminine with the way that I speak. I am practicing a little bit. I'm not very good at it. I want to be able to speak with a lot more of a certain type of voice. I feel like, you know, when I try my best to be as girly as I possibly can with the manner in which I speak, I'm a replicant. Specifically for androids, though. Yeah, I'm an Apple product. Just kidding, I would never associate myself with that shithole brand. Anyway, the deep American voice. Hey, how you doing, buddy? You got some of that there beef jerky? I wanna go shoot some guns. What's my best Pauline Hanson?
Please explain.
Please explain. I just think no. I don't want to try to replicate. I don't want to try to mimic Pauline Hanson. You want to know why I don't want to try to mimic Pauline Hanson? Because like literally everything she says is horrendous. Like her entire catalog of sound bites is heinous. She says the most hateful shit openly all of the time. I don't think I've ever heard her say something that wasn't a direct attack on a group of people. On some group of people. I don't want to try to mimic her because the only point of reference I have is bigotry. Not a fan of iPhones, but you like Macs. Why did... what were they called? The 1990s iMacs? No. Do you remember these? Where were they? These things. Dude, what is Apple doing with all that ridiculous, like, really slimline... oh, hang on. There we go. Why is douche censored? Auto mod, shut the fuck up. Okay, so what was Apple thinking, right? Getting rid of this design. What the fuck, dude? Why would you ditch this in favor of that sleek, slim bullshit? No. Bring this back. This is a banger. This is how you win people back, Apple. I mean, not that Apple's losing customers, but anyway. How about we tell people it's not nice to tease others about their voice, don't be a butt unless you want to get plugged. You want one of those? You can probably still find one. I want to see somebody take the shell of these MacBooks and put the guts of a new MacBook in it. Someone do that. It'd be banging. Come on. Welcome to the Roger and Peridot Plays. How you going? They're losing you? Apple are losing you? Oh, they lost me a while ago. I used to get iPhones. I specifically bought an iPhone. No, sorry. I asked my dad to get me an iPhone. Lol. I specifically got my dad to buy me an iPhone 6S. I can't recall what phone I got. One of them at the time Fallout 4 released, because Fallout 4 has a replica Pip-Boy, which you can see in that. Well, you can't see it, but underneath that skeleton dragon up there, there's a Fallout box, and it has a Pip-Boy replica in it. Not that I'm a huge fan of Fallout or anything, but I thought the whole idea of you can get a replica Pip-Boy, slot a phone into it, and then use the Pip-Boy app on the phone, and it would do it in the game, was fucking pog as all hell. Not gonna lie, it was fucking poggers. Before I knew what poggers meant, back in, was it 2016 that Fallout 4 came out? Fuck, I don't know. How do you rate Barry Humphrey's female voice? Supposedly it was based on a female MP from the 1950s. Honestly, Dame Edna Everage is a legend, is a queen, and has the voice of a queen. Hello, darling. I can't do a Dame Edna Everage. But we'll always stand Dame Edna. I fell for the marketing. I did! Several hundred times over. Those are World of Warcraft collector's editions. I have 5 of them, and I have not played the game in almost 5 years. Or 6 or 7, I don't know. I've got up to Legion. Matter of factly, I did not play Warlords of Draenor for more than like the first area, and I never installed Legion. Period. I am a whore for capitalism. That's a portal gun by Nika. Why do I have that? I don't need that. Why do I have a copy of Dishonored 2 Collector's Edition still in the box? I haven't even played the fucking game. I am a corporate whore. I buy shit I don't need. Like Ciri's sword from The Witcher 3. Fucking hell, dude. I've got so much dumb shit. Like there's Mimic! We gave him a name. I forgot what we named him. I like my Mimic. He's adorable. He's a D&D figure. I don't play D&D. But I love him. I love him. Can we all love him? He is beautiful. I don't play with my dollies, no. I do need to take them all off the shelves, though, and give it a proper dust. All my stuff is fucking garbage. You know? But why don't you believe in pronouns? Yeah, I'm gonna address this now because you're kind of irking me. It's someone's identity. You don't get to believe in it. You know? If a woman's a woman, a woman's a woman. If a man's a man is a man. That's how that works. You don't get to believe in their gender. It just exists. It's not God. Although most trans people are gods. Let's be honest, sweetums. Meh. The amount of money I've given to God Howard. I don't care at this point. That's the thing. I've got this attitude. Like, I explicitly, quite frankly, hate a lot of the big gaming companies. I don't even really play games all that much anymore. Honestly. That one stream I do on Wednesdays, that's my gaming for the week. 3 hours at max. But yeah, like, I've given so much money to Bethesda over the years, like the numerous copies of Skyrim, the different Fallout games I've played, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, now New Vegas as well, which is technically Obsidian, but I guess some of the money goes to Bethesda. I'm glad I never got into... I did do the demo of Elder Scrolls Online. It was okay. But it couldn't hold me like World of Warcraft did. I never played Fallout 76, thank fuck. But, you know, I'm just kind of at the point where it's like, I'm not going to go very heavy on any of this collector's edition stuff anymore. Not really. I don't pre-order games for like their big collector's boxes that have got cool stuff in them. I'll sort of stop doing that. Hello, Catalina. How's it going? Gender was only recently created and was meant to be... and was meant from the start to be a social construct. Yes. In a lot of... Well, like, the idea of trans people is not a new concept, but the idea of being transgender... Like, the phrase transgender is a new term. Relatively new term. And originally, yes, there was... sex and gender, right? Sex has always been defined scientifically as the biological aspects that put you into category A or category B, male, female. However, we know intersex people exist, so biology is not a strict binary of A, B. You know, there are intersex people in between there. And then the gendered roles are the definition largely sociologically of like, here are the roles of a man, here is what a man is, how a man performs, how a man behaves. Conversely, here's what we have for women. And there are those, again, gender is not a strict binary. There's not just, I mean, there are two genders, but there's many more than that. You know? There are people who do not fit strictly within the man-woman dichotomy. There are people in the middle. There are non-binary folks. And it's not difficult. It's not a stretch for anyone. Hello, Aurora. How you going? Yeah, it's not really a difficult thing for anyone to respect someone who has pronouns that are different to what you're used to, a name that's different to what you're used to. It's not a complicated process. There's not like a whole thing. There's not a process you need to go through. There's not a course you need to take to understand this. It's very easily broken down, distilled. It's very accessible information. And to go out of your way to ignore that requires a lot more energy than to just accept and respect someone's gender and pronouns. Really, realistically. See, now you're just being facetious, though. You're using the old attack helicopter trick. I identify as a toaster. Like, that's not how that works. All kinds of cultures have multiple gender designations, roles. Do we want to get into the fact that a lot of transphobia is also rooted in racism? There were a number of cultures who had multiple gender roles, and still do today. And those gender roles have largely been suppressed because of the fact that colonialism, white colonialism, took over a significant portion of the world and wiped that part of those cultures out. They phased it out of existence. You know, they made laws, they made rules, they said there's only mans and women's. Again, the whole concept of the gender binary is socially constructed. Yeah, like we mentioned a moment ago, Turbo, sex is not binary either. If it was, there wouldn't be intersex people, but there are. Then there was Thailand. What's with Thailand? I'm fine with calling you a dog, but won't call you a woman. Well, at least you respect my persona. But like, why are we even... Arab colonialism did the same? There we go. I didn't know that. Although, given what I know of the Middle East, you know, largely Abrahamic religion, I would imagine religion played a significant part there, Dingo. Would I be correct? Abrahamic religions tend to focus on that gender binary, that concept. And you know why they have a gender binary. Thailand recognized more than two genders before many others. That's awesome. Let me just bring this up for a second. Yeah, I know, asking people on the internet to be respectful. I just want to bring this up because this is awesome. This is just awesome. The forgotten trans history of the Wild West. It was a frontier in more ways than one. There was a thing. Let me see here. I'm just trying to find a good example. There was you know, I'm not going to read through the whole article, but there were a lot of trans man cowboys in the Wild West, like a not insignificant amount of trans cowboys in the Wild West, and it's awesome to read about. You know, these blokes getting around in suits, being outlaws, gay pirates as well. You know, want to know? You want to know one of my favorite little anecdotes about pirates is the idea. I don't know how true this is. It sounds like folklore, but it might be true. The whole idea of like if a female pirate were to best a male pirate in combat, she would expose her breasts to humiliate the male pirate. You were bested by a woman. Here's me tits. I don't know if it's true, but I love it. I love it. The Wild West was basically owned by sex workers. That's true too. That's true too. And this is the thing, right? You wanted to be a legit pirate. Pirates are cool. Piracy is cool. I should play Sea of Thieves at some point. Should I play Sea of Thieves? I should play Sea of Thieves. Become a Sea of Thieves streamer. I'll co-stream with Behaving Beardly. Anyways, gay married pirates, exactly. Women built the West. That's seems to be largely what I've heard. There is a lot of frickin' best of man India. Origin of the term matey is interesting. Oh, do tell. Most successful pirate ever got to retire a wealthy woman, as Chinese authorities at the time got absolutely fed up with her robbing them blind and being unable to stop her. All you picked up from that was piracy is cool. Piracy is cool. Piracy is awesome, man. Fucking sick. It is based. There you go. Alright, so it's 10:30. I've just sort of been meandering around topics for the last 10 minutes or so. While we, get into the break section. Yes, it is my pee break. It's my pee break, and I'm going to grab a can of CC Dry. Piracy is praxis. You do the theory, I'll do the praxis. I.e., you write the heist plan, I'll commit the heist. Anywho's, modern day piracy is even more based when used against the bastard corporations that rule over us, that turn into a fucking real Aussie mate. Anyway, I'll come back. You folks behave yourselves. And I am going to take a moment to plug before the break. If you have been enjoying the content, please consider subscribing. It is only $5 a month. Or if you've got Prime, subscribe with Twitch Prime or Turbo or whatever the fuck it is these days. I don't know. Consider supporting your girl. We're trying to get me a camera. Good camera. Because I'm poor. I'm a poor person and I would like a good camera. That's not too hard to ask for, is it? Please. At any rate, I'm going to go grab a drink. Will be RB. Don't go away. I love your faces. Sex is still not gender, and neither of these things are binary. Like at all. Also, for the record, let's talk about the fact that primary school education... You got your stimulus and ordered an Oculus, you bastard. How dare you? Let's also talk about the fact that the primary school education system, for the record, which it seems like LOL is the only education you've had, is woefully outdated by design. They don't want you to know any of this information. They don't want you to know anything outside of what they decree to be acceptable information for you to consume as a child. They want to manipulate children into thinking this kind of thing. Thinking this kind of... Again, we could watch that Bill Nye the Science Guy video, but when I uploaded that VOD to YouTube, it had copyright strikes on it, or copyright claims for that video content. So maybe we won't. But it's such a very, very simple concept. Sex is not a binary. Intersex people exist. That is to say, people who have gonadectal abnormalities, largely. You know, internal or external genitalia that is different from the norm, which, regrettably, did my dude just assume an intersex person to not be intersex? More than likely. But yeah, the thing about intersex people, unfortunately, really sad this, you're gonna go to bed, Fox Radio, have a good sleep, is that intersex kids, intersex babies are often forcefully genitally mutilated so that they're normal.
Another round.
Okay,
Online.
fucking hell, Catalina. Holy
Sharing
shit.
the love.
Thank you for the 1500 bits. Oh my god. Thank you. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. If you enjoyed Peace and Quiet, then why are you actively searching for someone to fight? Yeah, true. Holy shit. Butt cheeks are binary. But yeah, quite literally, sex is not binary, gender is not binary. It's demonstrated by the fact, and AJ the Retro Gamer, welcome to the program. It's demonstrated by the fact that non-binary genders exist. Demonstrated by the fact that intersex people exist. Like, what more evidence do you need than, hey, it's right here. Hi, I'm a trans woman. I'm a woman who is a trans person. I would like right here. Hello, Graves. How's it going? Okay, just like, let me ask you, LOOL. Do you go up to Asian people and call them chit? Is that the kind of person you are? Because, like, it's not really a good thing to be. Do you go up to black people and say, hey, nit? I'm just curious. This is just some shitty Kmart nail polish that is flaking off, and I've got a band-aid on my finger because I accidentally lacerated the area under my nail with plastic off a spice bottle. I'm in pain. That's why I'm drinking. It is nice though. It's a glittery matte. You can't really see the detail because my camera's fucking shit. Like it's a glittery matte. I rather like it. I do need to redo it though. Once my fingernail is fixed. You can say that if you feel like it, and somebody can kick the shit out of you if you say racial slurs to their face. Like, why would you be that kind of person who just wants to upset people? I don't understand why you would hold that viewpoint. I guarantee you're the kind of person who doesn't go out and talk to people in the first place. I get the suspicion you don't leave the house much. And not because of lockdown. Don't use that as an excuse. What's the bet this person's never seen a trans person in the flesh in their life? Who would probably, even me, who's been on hormones for quite a while, could still kick the shit out of you. Guarantee it. Because that's the only thing these people value. Physical superiority. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Anywho's. We're done with privilege, I think. We're done with privilege. Let's talk about the news. What can I set the title to? News. Flexing. News, muscles, and lesbianism. That's a good one. Conservatives are the most frightened bootlicking bitches there are. Not only would LOOL not say that to a black person, they'll probably avoid black people because they're scared. Beat us harder, Abby. I'll beat you harder. Don't worry. You'll enjoy it. I'll take my belt off. Which isn't doing much because I've lost a ton of weight, so this isn't really... This belt isn't helping the situation at all. Came back into subtle flexing. Ooh. Not very subtle. Look at that bicep. It's... Lewd. Saw someone on Reddit yesterday that again demonstrates how what you learn in school isn't enough. Someone said it's like going to school and deciding that there's only 3 states that matter, forgetting that plasma exists. Not forgetting, but not knowing. Yes, should we talk about Biden? Let's talk about Biden. Where is it? Not that one. Not that one. Yeah. Let's watch this really quickly. Let's talk about this for a sec. Because, I mean, yeah, apparently America's been in Afghanistan for 20 fucking years. Okay, that's muted. We can't watch that. That's not going to work if it's muted. You can read the subtitles if you like.
No one wants to say that we should be in Afghanistan forever.
Okay. Stop. For goodness sake, the volume. Why is the volume so absolutely fucking garbage on these things? I don't get that. And why is, like, the response to me controlling my widgets so shit? Anyway, Afghanistan war is almost at drinking age.
No one wants to say that we should be in Afghanistan forever. But they insist now is not the right moment to leave. In 2014, NATO issued a declaration affirming that Afghan security forces would from that point on have full responsibility for this country's security by the end of that year. That was 7 years ago. So when will it be the right moment to leave? 1 more year? 2 more years? 10 more years? 10, 20, $30 billion more than the trillion we've already spent? Not now. That's how we got here. No one wants to say that we
Okay. Well, there's that segment. There's that little segment. Biden is a bottom. All right, let's have a look at the actual news article on ABC News. But anyway, we're not going to watch the same thing again. Biden has announced... Biden on Afghanistan withdrawal. It's time to end America's longest war. Is it actually America's longest war? I haven't been paying that much attention to how many wars and how long they've gone for that America's been a part of. Can someone enlighten me? Anyway. President Joe Biden said Wednesday he would withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan before the 20th anniversary of the September 11 attacks because it's time to end America's longest war. We went to Afghanistan because of a horrific attack that happened 20 years ago, Biden said. That cannot explain why we should remain there in 2021. I mean, yeah, think about the fact that, 9/11, what, 3,000 people died? How many more people have died in the war in Afghanistan as a result of that, If you ever were to bring up the death toll of 9/11, you have to bring up the death toll of everybody that has been killed as a result of it. The president formally announced the withdrawal in the White House Treaty Room, the same place George W. Bush announced the launch of the war on October 7th, 2001, just weeks after the 9/11 attacks. Immediately afterward, Biden visited Arlington National Cemetery Section 60, where many service members who died in Afghanistan and Iraq are buried. Vietnam was 19 years. It's fuzzy when wars start and end, but yeah, it's the longest war. There are roughly 2,500 U.S. troops in Afghanistan now, and Biden planned to formally announce his plans to withdraw them by September 11 this year, U.S. officials said Tuesday. Am I just the only one? I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. Who's withdrawing the troops on or before specifically the anniversary of the thing. Just to even mention the phrase September 11th seems really tacky. Really bad taste. I don't know. Is it worth... It does seem like a PR stunt. It does seem like very much an hoorah, yeah, America. It's very weird. America's longest war is the war on drugs. You're not wrong. Yeah, who cares about dates? Just get them out. Exactly. I 100% agree with Hassan's take on 9/11. Anyway, The plan has long been in together, out together, Biden said. US troops, as well as forces deployed by our NATO allies and operational partners, will be out of Afghanistan before we mark the 20th anniversary of that heinous attack on September 11th. Where's my ring? I haven't got my ring on. The US withdrawal will not be based... The US withdrawal will not be based on conditions on the ground. The US withdrawal will be cringe, abandoning what had been the long-standing US policy according to officials. We cannot continue the cycle of extending or expanding our military presence in Afghanistan, hoping to create ideal conditions for withdrawal and expecting a different result, Biden said. Hello, Solace. Any pullback is defeat, but if you tie it to 9/11, it's patriotic. Oh yeah, the patriotism. You always got to get the patriotism in there. The president said the US had long ago accomplished its goal of preventing Afghanistan from serving as a base for terrorists to attack the United States, and that 10 years had passed since the American forces killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. I swear they keep changing the spelling of Al-Qaeda. We delivered justice to bin Laden a decade ago, and we have stayed in Afghanistan for a decade since, he said. Since then, our reasons for remaining in Afghanistan have become increasingly unclear, even as the terrorist threat we went to fight evolved. Cringe withdrawal, bro. Fucking cringe. We've always been at war with Eurasia. There you go. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Biden had come to believe predicating a withdrawal on certain conditions being met was no longer realistic. She said Wednesday that he thought American troops should not be bargaining chips either. Biden said that rather than return to war with the Taliban, we have to focus on the challenges that are in front of us. Like, the domestic terrorism that you guys keep dealing with. All of the fucking shootings. I am now the 4th United States president to preside over American troop presence in Afghanistan. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. 4 presidents, whatever. Biden said 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I will not pass this responsibility on to a 5th. Biden said he spoke with Bush on Tuesday. While he and I have had many disagreements over policy throughout the years, Biden said, we're absolutely united in our respect and support to the valor, courage, and integrity of the women and men. Notice the phrasing. They put women first. Women first, based, of the United States Armed Forces who have served. Psaki said Biden also spoke Tuesday with former President Barack Obama in a separate call. Obama said in a statement Wednesday that Biden had made the right decision and that after nearly 2 decades of putting our troops in harm's way, it is time to recognize that we have accomplished all that we can militarily, and it's time to bring our remaining troops home. Should have left Afghanistan when Obama did, went on way too long. Yeah, exactly. U.S. intelligence agencies have determined the ability of terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda to launch attacks inside the United States. A motivation for the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq had diminished and no longer required a robust presence in Afghanistan, according to the administration. Standing among the graves at Arlington National Cemetery after... How long does this go on for? Good lord. Do we need to read the entire history of the war in Afghanistan, or are we just... do we get the point? Do we want to keep going? More clap, female clap, drone pilots. Oh, goodness. Welcome back, Gingerbeard Man. So what are our thoughts? Is this I suppose this is a good decision to pull the troops out. But the only thing that I particularly have an issue with is the use of 9/11. Because, again, I hate
Welcome
Family
back,
Guy. It's stupid.
supporter
Cockles!
of the cause.
Thank you for the prime. 12 months. You fucking legend. You absolute fucking legend, Cockles. Thank you so much. Anywho's. Yeah, like that Family Guy joke. Like I mentioned, I hate Family Guy. It's shit. It's garbage. Lots of really bad jokes in that one. But there is a very good point to be made about the use of 9/11 as a political bargaining chip, I suppose. You win people over when you mention the 9/11. Yeah, there was that whole segment with... Lois going for mayor or Congress or whatever the fuck she was doing. I don't know. And she just stands there and says 9/11, and the crowd goes wild. And that's just literally, it's not even parody. That's just what America do. You mention 9/11, you talk about 9/11. It's like, dude, guys, American politicians, please get a new meme. It's old. Anyway. Withdrawing the troops is the right thing, even though it's going to cause a lot of unemployment in the country. U.S. military employs a lot of people that they refuse to support them after they leave service. That's another thing, is the sheer fact that, the U.S. does acknowledge there is a big problem with veterans after they've served, but doesn't fucking do anything about it. You know, as far as I can tell. Like, the most homeless people they do potentially support, at least a little bit, is homeless veterans. They don't care about, you know, the rest of the homeless. Biden described Rudy Giuliani's speeches as a noun, a verb, and 9/11, and that really applies to most U.S. foreign policy speeches. Wouldn't shock me. Look at that gorgeous being. Thank you, Goat. How you doing, lovely? What have you been up to? Look, I patted my nose. It's pink. Can war basically be banned? Regrettably, probably not. So we have to have some kind of stances on war while it's ongoing. You love this shirt. I love this shirt. I could live in it. Marsh Yellow, welcome in. Friendos. Raiders. Hello, Raiders. What's going on? Let me do a really clunky putting together my raid colors. You're doing good? I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Chester and Oz. Juzzy, welcome to the Rogue Room, folks. Friendos. How you going? How'd the stream go? Tell us all about it. Excuse me. Crank some synthwave really quick. Let's just get a bit of juicy synthwave in there. It was an awesome burp. I'm glad you liked it. How'd your stream go, Marshall? Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. A dainty belch. What were you chatting about? What were you talking about? We're now talking about the Simpwave. Yeah, Simpwave. We're now talking about the Biden thing. S word. Simpwave. Minecraft. Nice. What were you doing in Minecraft? Tell me all about. Oh, you're fostering a dog. That's exciting. We're technically allowed to say the word simp. For the record, we're technically allowed to say the word simp. We're just not allowed to use it as an attack on someone. You're not allowed to, for example, attack someone in chat for spending a ton of money on the streamer, and then call them a simp, as an example. God, my hair is an absolute mess tonight. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that is, but it looks like garbage. My hair looks like absolute garbage, but my headband looks cute. I think, generally speaking, the idea behind the banning of that particular word is just it's not just that. It's just generally speaking using certain terminology to refer to certain people. In particular, using terminology that questions a person's sex life. Yeah. It is a pleasure to meet you, Yellow. By the way. Yeah, they didn't ban they didn't ban those. I thought they did. I'd have to go back and look. But they did ban simp, incel, and virgin. Thoughts on Biden so far? He's a president. I don't really have any strong... This is the thing. Trump was easy to have strong opinions about, one way or the other. But Biden is just a president. Which is kind of a good thing, I guess. I mean, he's made some questionable decisions, most certainly. Automod's being a pain in the ass. Yeah, Republicans have shown they don't actually care about veterans being homeless. Not even them. We've already shown they don't care about homeless children or infants. Yeah, exactly. Biden is very religious. He is. So is Trump to that end. But I think the best thing we can do about Trump right now is to absolutely ignore his existence. Just forget he's a thing anymore. And then hopefully he just disappears into the ether. Yeah, a boring president is good. Because, yeah, politics should not be a soap opera. You're right. Politics shouldn't be... This is the thing. For the last 4 odd years, America's been the world's favorite reality TV show, largely because of Donald Trump. America turned itself into a laughingstock by putting him in charge and all of the fumbles that happened as a result of the Trump administration. And now we've got Biden, who is still right-wing but right of center, rather than full far-right like Trump and his folks. So... You know, it's mildly better, I suppose, but it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. You like my nails? I like my nails. I need to redo them. Welcome to the Rogue Room, Tasha Kirsten. Might get grief for this, but Biden is 100% better than Trump. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Biden is right-wing. Most of the people in leading politics in the United States are ultimately right-wing. Even Bernie Sanders is left of center. You know, Bernie Sanders isn't, like, far left. Sanders is left of center. Yeah, Sanders is hardly left. AOC is like arguably a little bit more left than Biden. I can't think of any other notable leftist examples at the moment, but you know, Republicans only care about sucking that corporate D. AOC is great. Everything I've seen of AOC is... Well, there are some policies, I believe, that could be questioned. But that's a good thing. No standing politicians. This is the thing. We never stan a politician. We never become an uber fan of any politician, no matter how good they are, no matter how many of their policies you align with. Never turn yourself into a fan of a politician. That's against the rules. Politicians exist to be criticized. There are no far left politicians in the US or the UK governments or Australia. I'm in Australia. There's no real extreme leftists. Well, I mean, we don't need extreme leftists. We need leftists. Can you at least stand RBG? She's dead. I mean, I suppose, but go ahead. Although there's a lot of people who have very cringe opinions about RBG. The notorious RBG thing was really very, very weird. But anyway. What's folks' opinions on the UK? I would not move there. Much like Abigail Thorne wants to leave there. A fellow Abigail. Fellow trans Abigail Thorne. Let's switch over to a bit of UK politics for a second. Back to bisexual lighting, please. Thank you kindly. Would you kindly? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for a second. Let me just turn my volume down on my music. Trans YouTuber Abigail Thorne considering leaving the UK because she can't get proper healthcare or rights. This is what I think about the UK. Is that I wouldn't live there given the situation around healthcare for trans people in the United Kingdom. Trans YouTube star Abigail Thorne is considering leaving the UK for New York because she can't get proper healthcare or equal rights at home. The Philosophy Tube host, who came out as trans in January, revealed that she is thinking of leaving England because of a hostile environment for trans people. And if you've heard anything about what's going on in Turf Island, I love her content too. Philosophy Tube, oh my god, she has my heart. And she can keep it. I don't need it. Yeah, she thinks she can get proper healthcare in the US. Probably better than in the UK. Health queer. Writing on Twitter, Thorne said she is really torn over whether she should stay in the UK or move to New York City. I do love my country, it's beautiful, the people are interesting, and it's my home. But Jesus, if I can't get proper healthcare or equal rights in England, it feels like you don't love me back, Thorne wrote. And yeah, like, she is rich. She's loaded on Patreon money. She could do this, you know? Or she could come to Australia. It's a funny name we should give Australia. Shithole country. Yeah, the straights are not okay, Abyss. They're never okay. Sorry to any good straights in chat. The US isn't perfect and in many areas is worse, but there are pockets of it where I could live more freely than in Britain. That's how obstinately bad things are here. Thorne said the next 2 years will prove crucial in her decision to stay or leave, adding, I want to stay, but something has to change. Yeah, like, the way that the TERFs are absolutely controlling the entire narrative around transgender people is disgusting. Like, I used to think it might be a cool idea to move to England one day, until I discovered, you know, just how atrociously they are treating trans people. They are literally trying to commit a genocide upon trans people in the United Kingdom. Like, quite literally a genocide. The YouTuber later responded to people pointing out that New York is expensive to live in and has no free healthcare. London is also expensive, and if you are trans, it also de facto has no free transition healthcare, causing the waiting list is decades long. Like, literally, she's not even using hyperbole there. The waiting list for trans healthcare in London is decades long. Literally. And it doesn't cover basic needs you can get elsewhere. Admitted she was scared when she came out as trans. I was fucking terrified, dude. I quite frankly, that was, I'm so glad everyone was so supportive when I came out. The UK was once seen as one of the most progressive countries in the world on trans rights when it introduced the GRA, the Gender Recognition Act, in 2004, allowing trans people to be legally recognised in their correct gender for the first time. However, in recent years, the UK has become embroiled in a culture war surrounding trans rights, with anti-trans commentators and lobby groups pushing for hard-won rights and freedoms to be curtailed. In recent years, the UK government has backed away from plans to introduce self-identification, which would remove much of the bureaucratic burden on trans people. There is a bit of that burden here in Australia. You cannot actually legally self-identify as your correct gender. Like, on my birth certificate, for example, it's still going to say M, which probably means my driver's license is going to say M, and all other major legal documents are probably going to refer to me as Mr. or something like that, because I cannot legally gender self-identify as F until I've had some kind of surgery. which means I'm probably going to have some kind of surgery at some point. Probably an orchidectomy, just so I can gender confirm legally. The situation is even worse for trans people seeking vital health care. The waiting list for London's NHS gender clinic is now estimated to be 26 years long, meaning countless trans people are being pushed to pay for private treatment instead. Abigail Thorne addressed the discrimination faced by trans people every day in the UK when she came out in January. Trans people, especially trans people of colour, are hit hardest by unemployment, homelessness, and domestic, sexual, and police violence, but the conversation always focuses on wealthy, white, cis women tweeting about toilets. She said it was so lovely to be able to relax and be at home in herself after coming out, but she also admitted that she was scared. Things are very, very bad for trans people in the UK, and they're getting worse. My existing following means I have now instantly become one of the most recognisable transgender people in the country, and I feel an enormous pressure to be good at it. Like if I could only be clever enough or pretty enough or articulate enough, things would magically come right, she said. To be quite fair, she is clever enough, pretty enough, articulate enough, funny enough. Abigail Thorne has it all, fam. She's fucking perfect. Anyways. Akadinozen, first time on your stream as a gender fluid individual. You love streams like this. Thank you for your awesomeness. Thank you for calling me awesome. I appreciate you so much. I think domestic violence was on the list. Wasn't it? I think it was heavily implied, at the very least. Imagine politicizing our existence. I know, Yellow Pirate. I hate it. I loathe and despise it. Akkad, how do you pronounce that? Akkad? AKA Dinozen? At any rate, welcome to the Rogue Room, friend. My total subs thing has gone off the side of the screen. Do you mind? Do you mind? Excuse me, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to get back at the... Thank you. Thank you. I'll do it again. You wanker. Anyway. What about Australia? What are your thoughts on trans healthcare in Australia? There isn't much research on it, or whether or not it is good. My personal thought, Alex, welcome to the Rogue Room. I thought you were already following, honestly. Alex Rovis, welcome to the Rogue Room. My main thing is that, A, getting onto HRT was easy for me. You could chalk that up to privilege, like we talked about earlier in the stream. We started the stream out with a big discussion on privilege. And yeah, I think there was definitely a certain level of medical privilege. You know, my GP recommended me to a psychologist and then to an endocrinologist. Now I'm regularly meeting with the endocrinologist to discuss my blood levels. I've been on hormones for about 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, I can't remember. That was really easy, getting onto my hormone treatments. I've got tits. And surgeries are partly covered by Medicare. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the cost of getting a full gender confirmation surgery is about the cost of a car, a reasonable car, and a fair chunk of it is covered by Medicare. And there's another smaller surgery, the orchidectomy, which is only about $4,000, and the rest of the cost is covered by Medicare. Yeah, fuck a car. Who needs a car? I've got a car. I don't need to save for a car. I don't need a car loan. I don't need a car loan. I need a pussy loan. Okay? Yellow Pirate, Sylphie Rose, welcome to the Rogue Room, formally. Doing lovely. As a Brit, you did think about transitioning, but how things are now, you'll settle with gender fluid. That's sad to hear, though. That's sad to hear that there are legitimately people who just sort of settle. And I did. I was one of those people who just settled because I didn't think I would be allowed to come out for like 16 years. I've known since I was 15 that I was transgender. I just didn't have the language to get it out. I didn't have the courage to be out and proud about it. And now I do have the courage to be out and proud about it. Yeah, we shouldn't have to settle, is the thing, Aurora. We shouldn't have to settle. It shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be this kind of thing. So on the legal level in states like New South Wales, you can't easily legally change your gender. Lucky to live in Victoria, you can choose to change it when you feel like. Should I move to Victoria? I got some friends who live in Victoria. I could move there. I could hang out with them. Have I thought about making a GoFundMe? I've thought about it, yeah, but I don't think it would go anywhere, honestly. I really don't think I have enough of a base. When I said UK, I did mean the UK, because generally speaking, when we're talking about trans healthcare, we are referring to the United Kingdom. but it could probably mean England. It probably does mean largely England. I'm not quite sure. Melbourne is literally the second highest rated city in the world. Oh my god. I should move. I've heard Melbourne's good. I've heard Melbourne is good. I would like to go there, but I want to wait till their COVID situation is a bit more subdued. And I mean, I don't have the money to move there anyway. I would be entirely out of my element. I wouldn't be near any friends or family anymore. It would be very difficult for me to move there. I don't have the money. So it would be nice, but I can't do it yet. But if I were to be in a better place financially in a certain space of time, I might. Victoria as a state is awful. It's just Melbourne that makes up for it. Well, I'd go to Melbourne then. I'd go specifically to Melbourne because I've heard it's a good city. I've heard Melbourne's a good city. I'm glad you came out and you can be your true self, and I'm glad I came across you because I'm one awesome one. Thank you, Gingerbeard Man. Appreciate you so much. Excuse me. Scotland has a bit better trans healthcare, but their funding is restricted by Westminster. I have no community cases in Victoria. Interesting. Well, that's good. Because you live in Scotland, you'd say we do really well with trans and the LGBTQ plus community. Well, that's good. That's good to hear then. Well, I think it's mainly England. It's primarily England that the problem is. And like Abigail Thorne mentioned in that article, it's white cis women screeching about toilets. Screeching about the gynecologist for some fucking reason. As if a trans woman who has had surgery wouldn't need a gynecologist. There are reasons that she would need to go to a gynecologist. But, you know, at the moment, the situation on Turf Island, the situation in Great Britain, in England, whatever it's called, is a bunch of people who are out of touch and out of their depth. Who are screaming about things that are not issues. They're screaming about the idea of someone, again, who looks like Hulk Hogan barging into a women's restroom and saying, "This is my woman's body, brother. I'm a woman, brother." Like, that's what they think is going on with transgender women. That's not what's happening. Okay? That's not what's happening. And the idea of gendered bathrooms by their own, just by themselves, are fucking stupid. Big bull seal. Big bull seal. I need that soundbite. Cis women be like, penis bad, and trans women be like, bitch, we know. Listen, I have the privilege to stand up and pee, and I still forego that privilege. So shut your fuckhole, turfs. Abyss, there you go. Enjoy the trans power ring. Big bull seal. I need to get that soundbite. I need to. I remember that weird time not too long ago when people were almost pressured into identifying as LGBT. It's kind of strange, isn't it, the way things have shifted. I forget who it was, the actress. There was an actress who was stating recently that she knows at least 4 celebrities in Hollywood who are gay or some variant of queer who are scared to come out. Who was it? Kate Winslet? I don't think it was Kate Winslet. Maybe it was. I don't recall, but somebody... Demacia, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Best way to cook egg. Let's fucking do it. I'm gonna say scrambled, honestly. I used to hate eggs. Dude, my diet has changed so much. In recent years, I used to fucking hate eggs, and now I'm like, yeah, I could go some eggs. I could go for an omelet or something like that. Was there a time like that? I don't think there was necessarily a time like that, but I think there was definitely a period where being queer was almost exceptionally celebrated, you know? And I think we have regressed in some ways. I'm gonna go scrambled. I'm gonna vote scrambled. I'm gonna skew the votes a bit and put my thought out there. I'm gonna manipulate you all. Zephira, welcome to the Rogue Room. I feel like it was largely during the Obama administration, I want to say. Because it was, I don't know, I distinctly feel there was a bit more of a, I feel like there was a bit more of a queer acceptance phase. Or maybe 2018, 2019, maybe. Honestly, Draco, I'm just chilling. Welcome to the Road Room. The thing about 2020 is COVID happened. And Mia Moore made a great tweet thread about this, talking about the idea that a lot of people locked up during pandemic, not having a lot to do with their time, would have been left alone with their thoughts. So a lot of eggs would have cracked during 2020 that cracked because they had nothing to do but think about themselves for a while, you know? And I think that's probably what happened with me. I started to discover trans creators more and more, and I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying their content. This is interesting. And then, hey, bitch, Abigail's back. You know? I definitely had a very intense period where, you know, it was that mid-lockdown thing. I discovered ContraPoints, you know? That honestly, ContraPoints was a huge factor in me coming out. I started watching a few of her videos, I started understanding a few of the things she was saying, especially about sex and gender. And I was like, oh shit. This is gonna be an awkward conversation to have with my mother, which it didn't turn out to be. Honestly. Whoever voted scrambled, you're psychotic. Fried with the runniest yolk. Ew. No, not runny. Ew. Over easy is the Bernie of cooked eggs. I don't mind a hash brown. NB Lockdown Egg Crack crew. Can we all celebrate our lockdown egg cracks? I've heard some people say that the phrase cracking the egg is problematic in some way. And I think the reason is because some people will use it to speculate on if someone else is an egg, i.e. a trans person who's still cooped up inside and the shell hasn't cracked yet. Egg culture is problematic. Yeah, I think it definitely is. It's worth talking about ourselves. I don't think there's a problem with talking about I cracked my egg sort of thing. But when you speculate on somebody else, that's where it becomes a problem. You know? Yeah, it's okay to say it about yourself. I don't think it's a problem to say it about yourself, but when you say it about someone else, it's a problem. Well, egg culture is the idea that trans people are an egg, and when you crack the egg, it's a metaphor, yeah. It's like, so when you crack the egg, you're coming out of your shell, you know? Similar to coming out of the closet if you're a gay person. I don't know why they were in the closet the entire time. It's a very cramped, small space. Would not recommend it. I've been stuck in the closet before. I had to get someone to come over with the keys. I don't recommend it. It didn't become Phoenix culture. Well, it kind of is. Kind of is. We burn ourselves down to ash and then we are reborn magnificently. Let me come back for a second. Someone did it to me, but it didn't say they knew until after you came out. Closest thing you've related to the Abigail's back thing is I did a lot of internal roleplay for the FF14 characters, and they're both fragments of you, so I am me, but inside my head are those two characters. That's understandable. Just found yourself attracted to everyone at a young age and came out at 17 as Pan. The parental reaction was hilarious. How was it hilarious? Please tell me it was a good hilarious and not a bad hilarious. Not surprised. If you ever wonder why, reflect on your attitude and said behavior are direct causes as to your loneliness and the fact that you've become an incel. Yeah, I'm getting big incel vibes, but we're not allowed to use that terminology. What about ice phoenixes? That's fucking cool. Haha, pun! Pun! There was something I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Aurora, my mother literally said, and I've still got 3 kids. I was asking my mother. This is how I came out to my family. I asked my mother, it's like, so do you have any transgender kids? Any students? Any transgenders? Not her own kids. She does now. She's got a transgender kid now, but I said to her, do you have any transgender students? What do you know about transgender students? And we had a little bit of a chat about it for a second. She goes, do you think you might be transgender? And I was like, would that be a bad thing? I was like, is that okay? Can I be trans? And then, like, before long, she told my sister, and they told the rest of my family, and I was just out, and I was like, okay, this is cool. It's cool. Sweet. Fine and dandy. I love it. And everyone's okay with it. No one's like off the level. No one's awkward about it. You know? Watch the incel language. That's toss. That's toss, guys. It's toss. You're not allowed to use the toss language. Holla, vagabond, how goes it? It's toss. That sheepering. For anyone who hasn't come out in the chat, just do it. People will literally let you squat in their house. Are we being tossers? Don't be a tosser, mate. I feel like your mum will be fine with it, but I guarantee she'll tell everybody before I want, so I gotta postpone her knowing. If I had had the drive to create the kind of content that I do now with YouTube, I would have put together a really elaborate video essay on gender. That would have eventually culminated. I would have just stolen Abigail Thorne's bit before she did it. But it would be entire. Like, if you have not seen Abigail Thorne's coming out video, the first half of the video is a male actor who is done up to look like pre-transition Abigail, who is reading off a script. Like, it's a really, really good bit. If you've not seen Abigail Thorne's coming out video, I highly recommend watching it. It's called Transition, a Coming Out Story, I think it is. And I totally should have just stolen that thing. Oh no, Identity, a Trans Coming Out Story, sorry. And then the second half of the video, yeah, Reese Tees, yeah. The second half of the video is Abigail Thorne coming in as herself for the first time and introducing herself and talking about her transition. It's fantastic. I honestly want to watch it again because I just feel like crying. It's a nice cry video. And I feel like, you know, if I were to go back to when I first came out, we can't really just stick ourselves in the past. There's other content I can do moving forward that will, you know, get that idea out for me. Because I do have a lot that I want to talk about, particularly pertaining to masculinity, that I would like to do a video on. And yeah, I think, yeah, that video is fantastic as well. But I would have done something similar if I had had the same kind of drive to create video essay style, long form, dramatic content like that. Higher quality, higher fidelity. It's such a good video. Highly recommend you watch it if you haven't already. I think it's like they found phenomenology as they transitioned. It's cute out from a philosophical perspective. It is. I loved the video. There were so many attention to detail moments, and then when she came out and that smile, I know, I love the trans smile. I have it. I certainly have it. You look at pictures of me now. You look at the way that I smile now. You look at the life in my eyes. I don't have many photos of me pre-transition, but all of them have a certain death behind the eyes look. You know? There's a thing that I want to point out that might have been a factor, maybe specifically pertaining to depression, more so than transition. However, there was a thing I used to do back when I was pre-transition, whenever I would make a live post on my story on Instagram or anything else like that, where I would put on a goofy face. Really atrociously bad, look at me, I'm a doofus kind of faces. And I'm beginning to wonder if the reason I did that is because I didn't want to take a normal, good-looking photo of myself, because I hated the idea of looking at me, or him, as a, I don't know, just like, I hated the idea of any normal photos of him existing. I hated the idea of looking at a photo of myself and thinking, oh yeah, or like maybe even being comfortable with seeing him looking, good, I suppose. I inherently wanted him to be ridiculous, something I could easily distance myself from, the class clown type. Do the goofy face too because you don't like photos of yourself. You didn't figure out the reason till like late last year. Yeah, it's a weird little thing that I've contemplated for a while. It's like, was it depression or was it the fact that I was closeted trans? Fellow trans streamer, how you doing, a rolling bread? What's going on? Yeah, Buck Angel, a trans man bodybuilder, and yes, if I'm not mistaken, he is trans medicalist. He is exactly the kind of person who will go out of his way to say if you're not medically transitioning, you're not really trans. I have a beautiful trans smile. Thank you. I love the way that I smile now. I really do. Thank you for the posture check. I need it. A great song. Well, I'm only listening to Stream Beats at the moment. You can recommend one if you want. Sit straight. Sit right. As far as I know, that's what Buck Angel promotes. And also, he vehemently calls himself a transsexual, and he's like kind of opposed to the term transgender. Yes, Phage, he was a porn star, and his whole gig was the man with a pussy. That was his thing, back when he was originally very popular. He was the man with a pussy. The Dead Milkman, Dean Stream. Interesting. Punched a turf yesterday because they were harassing your envy friend. Nice. Good job. Thank you for the follow, Roland Bread. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Yeah, I hate the word transsexual too because the reason I hate it is it inherently ties the gender to sex thing. You know, all of a sudden you know that a transgender person, yeah, Joanne, a transgender person is someone whose gender identity does not match the identity assigned to them at birth. They didn't choose the role of being a man or a woman because no one is assigned NB at birth. Let's be real with ourselves here. I've heard of the Midnight. I think somebody, might have been you or someone else, put me onto the Midnight recently. Actually, yeah. I've listened to a few of their songs. But yeah, the idea of transsexualism is that it puts, it combines the gender and sex thing again, which is obviously completely distinct. Physiological sex is its own binary and gender, not binary, spectrum, and gender is its own spectrum. Then they're separate concepts that are rooted in biology to an extent. Because biologically speaking, the vast majority of people are going to be male-female, but there are intersex people in the middle, and gender, of course, is a social role that we are assigned, and we are expected to perform a certain way. You know? So we reclaim the word transsexual to mean only attracted to trans people because cisgenders are scary. Fuck it, why not? Favorite muscular-bodied woman is also a porn star and a mat wrestler called Ariel X. She looks fantastic. Your body swap choice if you ever get 3 wishes. Unironically, I mean, I'm pretty buff. I'm pretty tanky myself. I'm trying to think. What's her name? What's her name? Oh yeah, Colleen Foch. I mean, I'm kind of the, I'm kind of torn here. Because, where's like a, what's her name? Colleen Foch. Here we go. This won't get taken out of context. It's like, on the one hand, I would like to look a little bit more feminine physically. Can I show that photo? But on the other side of things, like, dude, Colleen, woman, oh my god. Just, oh my goodness. Squash me? Look at the guns. She's got bigger arms than I do. I wonder if she's gearing. Or if she's just a powerlifter. Like, powerlifters get pretty big. Like, estimating here. 5,000 calories a day. Maybe more. Powerlifters eat a fuck ton, but she's not like Jay Cutler big, you know? Grab me and pin me against the wall and tell me I'm handsome. Gearing as in steroids. I can't tell if she's on steroids or not. Maybe I'm just bad at telling with women. I'm good at telling with men. I'm pretty good at telling if a man's on steroids. But usually only if they're in cutting phase. If they're not in cutting phase, it's harder to tell. Because there are some big dudes who just have the genetics to grow really big. And if they've got layers of body fat, like some bodybuilders, for example, will get up to, say, for example, 20 or more percent body fat. Like I've seen some really jiggly bodybuilders, but when they cut, they get down to like 2% body fat and they are fucking ripped and jacked. And that's when you can look at them and you can tell the size of their musculature is like, okay, you're clearly on the gear. You're clearly on some kind of steroids. Men on steroids equals no testes. Scary workout language. Sorry. But I am on T blockers, so you know, if she were on steroids, you know, again, my arms are not that big. I mean, that's deceptive. But like if I pop that tricep there, look at that. And then the thing that gets me mostly is my shoulders. Look at that. Us. Yeah, like 5,000 calories. That's my bra strap. Oops. 5,000 calories is twice the recommended daily calorie intake for a standard person. Twice your RDI. So don't eat 5,000 calories unless you're lifting. Unless you're someone who do a lift, like I do. I lift and I do cardio daily, except for Sundays. Should debunk short fat otaku's anti-blockers thread on Twitter. What's that one? Send us that, Toxic. I had a bunch of news today, but we did the whole privilege thing, and now I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm just not paying attention to. Do I even lift, mate? Should we show off the thighs? The arms are okay. The arms are fine. They're alright. Okay. But we have to show the goods. Like, I mean, this is where the power is. Alright? Son. Not going to show the glutes on stream. But I squat. Crushing watermelons. I gotta... Just, like, don't tempt me. I'll do it. One of these days. Once I get a camera that can hook up to stream, we'll do a like a beside the pool kind of hanging out in a bikini stream, and we'll do the watermelon crush. Post surgery. This entire chat instantly got moist. From now on, you can choose which flex you want. You can get the legs or the arms. The arms are easier. Now you have this Titans Go episode stuck in your head. Okay, what's the thread? Let's have a look. Okay, if it's short fat otaku, warning he's one of Sargon of Akkad's buddies. Okay. Devtrospective. Alright. What are we looking at here? Let's have a gander here. Bras and bikinis, Twitch TOS. If they're in a relevant setting, they're fine. You can stream in a hot tub. You can stream in a bath. You can stream in a pool. If you're in a bikini, it is within TOS. It's covered by TOS. Allegedly. Twitch can just decide on a whim. But anyway. Here is a lesson in HRT and blockers and how they can be bad for you if done improperly. Well, I mean, anything if done improperly can be bad for you. I think you can do a bath stream, but again, you have to be in some kind of swimwear. Like, you can do a chilled out bath stream. I've considered it, but I'd prefer to do like a hot tub stream, honestly. Not like bathing, but like just sitting in your bath. I think that's okay. Here's your normal hormone cycle. This is what happens naturally to everybody. If a hormone is low, your hypothalamus tells the pituitary gland to make gonadotropin. Gonadotropin stimulates sex organ to making hormones. When hormone level is high enough, gonadotropin production stops. Little paint diagram there. Did Bad Bunny get banned? She's been banned like 10 times at this point. I don't know what she's been banned for. Here's your cycle on only blockers and not HRT. GnRH analog simulates gonadotropin, so your sex organ begins to produce massive amounts of hormones until it burns out. Your hormones then drop to castration levels, which based. The problem here is that without the production of any hormones, you're not going to go through any puberty at all, male or female. As an adult, you'll suffer from lower bone density and other associated problems. You know, there's a lot of people out there who suffer from low bone density without having gone on hormones, though. GnRH doesn't cause those problems directly. Lack of hormones do. Here's the cycle on HRT without blockers. If you're taking the estrogen... Why do we all need to know all of the fucking science all of the time to justify our fucking existence? I don't fucking care anymore. I don't care. Fucking shut up. Stop trying to justify hating trans people. Jesus cunting fucking Christ. Shut the fuck up. Low-key want to get back into streaming just so people can compliment your boobs. You really like your trans boobs? Fantastic. I'm sick of it. You know what I'm not sick of? You know what I'm not sick of? Lil Nas X answering kids' hilariously awkward questions about coming out. Because Lil Nas X is a fucking king and we stan. The Montero Call Me By Your Name rapper has faced backlash in recent weeks about the possible negative influence his song and its salacious music video might have on children. But it turns out the two-time Grammy winner is actually a hit with the kids. Lil Nas X, can I just say for a moment? His video, which is quite explicitly male-on-male gay, very, very man-homosexual. It's a very, very gay video. Very explicitly gay video. And we love it. It's fucking amazing. Go watch it if you've not already watched his video. Had me questioning my own sexuality. We've talked about this already. I've talked about this a few times. It's like, his video made me question the way that I still call myself a lesbian, but maybe I'm more leaning towards pan sort of thing. I'm still going to call myself a lesbian because the term lesbian's fucking cool and I'm still largely attracted to women. But, you know. And that concept of... that concept of stuff like music videos and other media that represents sexuality outwardly is ultimately a positive thing for those who are of repressed sexualities. Because if you put it out there and you say, look, the sexing that you might want to do is actually a thing that people are doing, and it's okay and it's fine and good, allows those people to actually realize their sexuality and act on it, hopefully safely, of course, but be safe in any kind of sexual situation. Speaking of Lil Nas X, he had something hidden in his video pointed out to you. When he gets to hell, the writing on the devil's floor is Latin for they condemn what they don't understand. That's cool. A negative influence? Surely other popular songs are actually more problematic. Oh yeah. What about any of the, like, do we do the violence thing? There are so many songs I've heard that are explicitly violent in their lyricism. And it's like, no one talks about those. Can we talk about how Headstrong is a shit song? Anyway, Lil Nas X appeared as a guest on the Wednesday episode of the YouTube series Arts and Raps on the All Deaf Music channel. The series routinely involves Zaria and Dylan, the kids who host the show, interviewing celebrities as they work on artwork. As the kids began to paint, the rapper explained to Zaria and Dylan what it means to come out of the closet. It means you're like, hey everybody, I'm this thing and you guys didn't even know that, but now you know, Lil Nas X said. Zaria immediately asks why someone might be in the closet. He explains that when someone says they're this thing, the other person's mind shifts completely, despite how close you are to them or whatever. Oh yeah, here we go, the literal closet thing. But then Dylan responded with his own story about a closet, albeit a literal one. He said, me and my older cousin, he keeps pushing my brother into the closet, and we close the door and blink the lights on and off, and then say 666 or Bloody Mary, and then he swore he saw something. Gaffadil, welcome in. How you doing, dude? What's going on? Lil Nas X, who struggled to rein in his laughter during the anecdote. That's fucking good. Jokingly admitted, that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what I meant when I said I was coming out of the closet. That's adorable. Later in the interview, Zaria asked what it means to be unapologetically you, a theme that Lil Nas X imbibes in his music. The rapper responded that it means just doing yourself at all costs, no matter who's watching. That's a good message. Gets really hard because everybody in the world, we always think about what everybody else is thinking about us, Lil Nas X said. Sometimes we forget to think about what we think about ourselves, you know? And honestly, like, this really resonates with me. It's like, nowadays, it's much more about what I think of myself and a lot less what everyone else does. Zaria said Lil Nas X really inspired her because he's not afraid to be you and doesn't appear to care what others think. But Lil Nas X admitted, I won't say that I don't care. It's like I'm able to care and push it off my shoulder. The interview also included some moments where Lil Nas X struggled to respond to the kids' questions. He was asked what Mommy Milking... He was asked what Mommy Milking is. I can't, I cannot. I'm sorry, I cannot. Inspired by his iconic Nicki Minaj Halloween costume. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you folks remember this, but Lil Nas X got done up as Nicki Minaj. And there was photos of him just wearing the tits. It was just... Oh, fuck. Like, out of costume, just Lil Nas X wearing the tits. Put the tits back on Lil Nas X. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Mummy Milka's a large tits. Pardon me while I die. Oh, fuck. Femnas X. Lil Nas F. Oh, fuck. Dude, mate. No, I'm not saying I want to fuck Lil Nas X. Actually, yes, I am. I'd go there, but I'm in check. He won't fuck me. Us. I mean, maybe the biceps would be convincing. Yeah. Yeah, true. The dropping offensive comments and defending it like you did nothing wrong is a bit on the nose. Let me have a look here. Well, there we go. That's that story. But here's one on the other side of things. I've talked about this show in the past. Not yet. Not yet. Candace Owens has a true hate bone of him. That's fucking hilarious. It's fucking amazing, honestly, the hate boner that she has. For Lil Nas X. It's disastrous. If anyone wants to, they can block that person. I gotta go, but it's great to find you. You'll have to be sure to be around. How often do I stream? I stream Monday to Friday from 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's currently 11:36, if that gives you a clue as to when I start stream. I am planning on trying to stream longer soon, though. Like, I'll start earlier at some point in the not too distant future. But haven't decided if I'm doing that yet or not. Think Nas X is a bottom. Seems like I wouldn't mind using toys on him, though. Maybe I don't want to sexualize him. I don't want to be that person. Same time zone, sweet. Well, it's a pleasure to have had you here, Yellow Pirate. I want to talk about something that came up. Well, read this, maybe this article. Maybe this article will be better because it seems like the full thing that we're talking about is a bit long. I don't know. Yeah, he does want to be sexualized, I suppose. It's tricky. Are we allowed to be horny for Lil Nas in chat? Okay, go ahead. I suppose he wants it. You can be horny for someone, just don't make it weird. Anyways, I've talked about this show in the past. It's a banger of a kids show. It's really fucking good. Bluey. Amazing Australian-made kids animation, kids cartoon. Phenomenally well written, well acted, very wholesome. Kids cartoon Bluey criticized for not having disabled, queer, poor, gender diverse, or dogs of color. That last bit's a bit tricky. How do you define what a dog of color is? I suppose like the lack of specific representation of certain cultural norms from other cultures would probably be representative, but they are dogs. How would you tell? However, I will say this, like before we even get into the article, I will say, having watched the show off the bat, this does seem to have a point, although I swear I recall there being a dog, one of the dog kids characters, like not one of the main characters, but a side character. I swear I've seen a dog in a wheelchair, because they're anthropomorphic dogs, obviously. I swear I've seen one of the dogs, one of the kid dogs in a wheelchair. But I might be wrong. I might be thinking of another show. Anyway, dogs but with racist stereotypes. Yeah, that's a tricky ground to breach, isn't it? You got to do it right. If you were to introduce a character who's, say, Hindu, you'd have to do it in such a way that it's culturally respectful. Anyway, Australian children's show Bluey has been criticized for blah, 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 and single-parent dog families. That's something I have noticed. It seems like all of the families Because let's break down what Bluey is really quickly before we go into this. It's essentially a nuclear family kids show. It's very similar in a lot of ways to Peppa Pig, except for the fact that this show is not annoying as all fuck. You don't want to absolutely massacre every character in this show. Everyone in Bluey is extremely relatable and written really well. And yes, it's Australian for the record. It's a really well written kids show. Tremendously well written kids show. I love it. You know, when my kids are sitting down to watch it, I join them because it's just that good. But anyway, the animated show for preschool children follows Bluey, an anthropomorphic 6-year-old blue heeler puppy. That's this one here with the blue whatchamacallit. I think it's a Bluetooth speaker. And her family as they go about life in Brisbane and learn important life lessons. In an opinion piece on the ABC Everyday website, journalist Beverly Wang shared her love of the hit cartoon, but also questioned why the show isn't more representative. Wang asked why the show, which is set in the capital of Queensland, does not reflect the wide diversity of the Australian city. Where are the disabled, queer, poor, gender-diverse dogs of colour and single-parent dog families in Bluey's Brisbane, she said. If they're in the background, let them come forward. They could give the dogs bad racial accents. What are they? I know. Like I said, it could be a very, very difficult thing to broach. And the thing about the trans and queer dogs, there is specifically one of the kids who has a very distinct Kiwi accent. And I mean, like, quite distinctly, like Islander Kiwi. You know Brox, the woodcarver? This kid sounds like Brox. Broxh? The New Zealand woodcarver who took off in popularity. Massive streamer nowadays. He gets thousands of views. Brox, yeah, that dude. This kid sounds like him, you know? He's got the very similar accent. So you could argue this Dalmatian dog could potentially be from that background, right? You could, I honestly, it's that good that there's a lot of good messages for parents in this show. I will say that. There's a lot of good messages for parents in Bluey, not just kids. It's one of those, moral story kind of things. You know, every episode is some kind of moral quandary in a lot of ways. Deals with a lot of themes that, mostly kids are going to relate to. And I think that's why it's so popular. It's just so relatable. It's so relatable. For both kids and parents. It's a good show for kids and parents. Anyway, Wang acknowledged the creators of Bluey may not view their show through a political lens, but she argued it is important for children's programming to be more representative, which is true. I agree with that. What are Aussie racists like? Fucking atrocious. I hate them. She said the tender, nuanced, joyful show has already demonstrated depth and range in its ability to touch on important issues. One specific episode, actually, I'm reminded of, is an episode where Bluey goes camping with her family, and she meets another dog that is French, and they can't understand each other, but despite that, they create a wonderful friendship in the short time that they're camping, and later on, the French family leaves, they're done with their trip, so they go home or whatever. And then later, like at the very end of the episode, spoilers, it shows a glimpse of a grown-up Bluey meeting her friend again for like the first time in 10 years or whatever it is. Or whatever happens, I don't know. It's very cute. So at the very least, there is the representation of, I suppose, different cultures do exist. It's not as though it's a solely white culture. Aussie racist, British people, but with a funnier accent. True. Mainly xenophobic or just your liberal understanding of a racist. What's a liberal understanding of racist? Yeah, xenophobia would probably be the best way to describe it. As a parent of color, I'm always conscious of the presence or absence of diverse representation in kids' pop culture and what it means for our children and the conversations we have around that, Wang said. I sincerely believe you don't have to be other to think about this too. She added that the majority of the characters on children's television are white and that there are more animals than people of color protagonists populating the pages of children's books. That's an interesting point, actually, to bring up more animals than people of color protagonists, because the majority of animal protagonists, anthropomorphized animals in these kinds of shows and things like that, are still represented through a white lens. They are still represented as white characters, but they are they're anthropomorphized animals, And it's a funny thing that there have been a number of Disney movies, that have used POC culture, but then turned the protagonist into an animal for the majority of the duration of the movie. Have you noticed this? There's stuff like Brother Bear, The Emperor's New Groove, There's another one that's eluding. Oh, Princess and the Frog. You know, it's a pretty common thing for Disney in particular to release a movie about a person of color who turns into an animal for the whole movie and only has like 5 minutes of screen time as an actual. Soul did it as well. Oh, fucking hell, dude. It's very inherently racist to do that because they're dismissing that person's identity for the majority of the movie. As long as they don't make the black dog a pit bull, true. You'd need to be careful about the choice of breed as well. Yeah, Brave kind of did, but they're still white. It's just Scottish white, you know. It's a little bit different, but I suppose Scottish people have still been the brunt of some xenophobia to an extent. Tiny bit different, but still same vein, I guess. Arthur is the first show you've seen where some of the animals aren't white. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Scots are less than Irish. Yeah, the Irish have definitely gotten it. Does Soul fit into that category? I haven't seen it, so I can't really judge that. At any rate, Wang wrote that television, like children's literature, could be used to mirror the lived experiences of its viewers, but the lack of diversity in such mediums meant that some people could be missing out. She wrote, I wonder about the limits of modelling imaginative play for parents and children who don't see themselves in the true Bluey, comfortably middle-class Australian nuclear family embodied by the healers, who's missing out. I will say that Bluey and Bingo, the two kids, are not very stereotypically feminine girls. They are very gender non-conforming. They don't adhere to any standards of what a little girl is supposed to do. And the parents in the show are represented in a very, I suppose, irregular fashion. Chili, the mother character, is the primary breadwinner by the look of things. Like, she's constantly going off to work, and Bandit, the dad, is a stay-at-home parent who spends the majority of the time with the kids, and he does work from home apparently, but they do have that, you know, flip on its head thing. At any rate, predictably, the opinion piece has been lambasted online for being woke and daring to question why an animated show couldn't be more inclusive, naturally. However, others have shared their support for Wang broaching the important topic. Guardian Australia's political reporter Amy Ramakis said the amount of hate being directed towards Wang was the reason why this country can never have a serious conversation. True. She wrote on Twitter the amount of hate being directed at a journalist for a very gentle piece pointing out Bluey is great. But yeah, and I mean, I've glanced at the article. It's a very complimentary article, but yeah, you know, pointing out the lack of representation is not a bad thing. For a very gentle piece, pointing out Bluey is great, but maybe doesn't represent everyone and is something to think about. Something for all writers' rooms to think about is why this country can never have a serious conversation. Ramakis continued, you might not see yourself or your family represented all the time, but if you're white, able-bodied, and working middle class, you're not short of options. This is true. We know representation matters and we're capable of handling universal themes in abstract ways, and this is just another one. Poet Maxine Beneba Clark also joined in on the discourse about the hit animated show. Clark said, with all the commentary around Bluey, it's worth noting, I started making picture books because one day I realized my kids were about 30 times more likely to pick up a picture book narrated by an anthropomorphized animal than one with even a minor character who looked like them. One person called for the show to give the main character a trans friend and a gay aunt. She wrote, people exist. These dogs are stand-ins for people, which is true. And this is the reality of it. It's like, yeah, you could give a trans friend or a gay aunt. It's like, you could have these characters even just throwaway characters. They don't need to be... A lot of the people who are angry at this idea of representation get this thought into their head that it's going to overtake the entire thing. And it's going to completely radically shift the cultural landscape of media. It's like, no, we're asking for a little bit of representation. You know, asking for a little bit of, you know, show something that's representative. One episode. You know, there's plenty of episodes where, like, one character shows up and never shows up again. You know, and they could do that with this show. They could definitely do that with this show. Having a gay aunt would be tremendous. And all you would need to do is have the character show up for the episode. If you were to have the gay aunt character, and just have one of the parents ask about her partner, and she'll go, oh yeah, she's doing great. Like, even like, or they could just show up with their partner or whatever, and then just have that character exist. Or a gay trans aunt, just perfect. Yeah, I mean, as much as Brooklyn Nine-Nine is propaganda, it's a great example of just having a normal, diverse cast. Exactly. You know? the gay police chief or whatever his role is. It's like he's just a guy who happens to be gay. It's not that him being gay is his entire persona. You know? It's not something that needs to be front and center. Representation doesn't need to be front and center. It doesn't need to be overt. You know? Rose is also bisexual. There you go. Perfect. I didn't even know that. But I stopped watching around season 3, I think. I forgot when I stopped watching. And representation is not a bad thing. You know? Having characters that represent different groups of people is not a bad thing. You know, not every movie needs to be about gay cowboys, but we do need more movies about gay cowboys. Preferably one that has a happy ending. I don't want to rewatch Brokeback Mountain. But yeah, like there's no agenda being pushed. There's no agenda being driven here. There's nothing wrong with putting in a character that makes the show a little bit more representative of different races, gender identities, disabilities. Again, I'm actually thinking on it now. I did mention how annoying Peppa Pig is. If I'm not mistaken, I think the character in the wheelchair was on Peppa Pig. Let me have a look. And they did... Oh, Mandy Mouse. There we go. There you go. I was correct. There's a character on Peppa Pig called Mandy Mouse. She's in a wheelchair, and they did one episode. And she shows up in other episodes. But she shows up in an episode to just explain how she does a few normal things as a kid in a wheelchair. You know? And that's not... I don't see why there's a problem. I don't see why people are so pissed off at the idea of having representation. Well, people need to realize that cartoons like this are all anthological storylines that contained within single episodes. So if Aunt Bernice visits for an episode and talks about her wife or transition, doesn't mean she'll be there next episode, but she was still there and her story was still told. Exactly! Xander, that's it. Nail on the head. It's like there's no problem here. There is no issue with showing representation of these people. Have one of the dogs say, I wish I was a girl, to be honest, and the girl dog's like, woo, girls night. And you could absolutely have a character introduced into, or like a family, introduce a family of dogs into it who are of a different racial ethnicity. They've already had an episode where Bandit and the two girls go to, so Dad and the two daughters go to a Chinese restaurant. So it's not like, you know, that element of things doesn't exist. But as far as I know, the person who was running the restaurant sounded very stereotypically white. There was no indication that they were any sort of Asian by any stretch of the imagination. There was a father who wrote into the BBC to complain that one of the children's presenters had one arm. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude? Oh, hang on. Sex Education was also fantastic for representation. One of the main characters is a gay black man who's accepted with by his friends. What was it about the Pirates of the Caribbean? What was it about Pirates of the Caribbean that I missed? I've forgotten what it was. And yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has 2 Latina women. Don't care if you don't have kids. You're watching this show as a grown woman. Yeah, go give it a watch. It's a good show. I mean, of course, it's more accessible if you are a parent, you know, because then you've got that thing that you can relate to with your kids. I know of Bob's Burgers. I haven't watched it, though. Let me see. Achilles and Patroclus. You mean the 2 buddies who shared a tent and bed, and Achilles dies avenging Patroclus because he flew into a rage after he died? Give me my gay Achilles. God damn it. What about Sappho and her friend? Do we talk about Sappho and her friend? How art historians are like, ah, yes, here is Sappho, just spending some leisurely time nude with her womanly friend. You found it annoying. How do you find this show annoying? It's glorious. It's glorious. I don't want to read COVID news. But while we're on the gay thing, I guess it wasn't really explicitly meant to be gay. It was meant to be more overall representative. Like, it comes back to the privilege thing. Yeah. gal pals. It was supposed to be more overall representative because while I like the show, I can definitely concede it's a very, very white show. You know, you can definitely see it. Anyway, let's continue on though. We got some more stuff. Anti-gay wedding photographer cites vampires in legal bids. What is this fucking headline? Let me try again, because I just lost my shit. Anti-gay wedding photographer cites vampires in legal bid to discriminate against same-sex couples. What? Pardon? What? What? A Christian wedding photographer is suing the state of New York for the right to say she refuses same-sex couples. Since when are we vampires? Also, fucking cool. Emily Carpenter, a New York-based photographer and blogger, filed a lawsuit on Tuesday, the 6th of April, alleging that the state's non-discrimination laws violate her First and 14th Amendment rights because she believes that God created marriage to be a joyful, exclusive union between one man and one woman. Has this bitch read the Bible? Has this bitch read the Bible? I doubt it. Anyway, she argued in the lawsuit that she doesn't want to provide photography that depicts a marriage in a negative way or promotes any special occasions between same-sex or polygamous couples. To bolster her argument, she said in her lawsuit that she would not provide wedding photography for irreverent-themed weddings such as Halloween or vampire-themed weddings. Dude, how fucking boring. Because she believes weddings are inherently religious and solemn events. Go fuck yourself, lady. Squirrel Girl, welcome to the Red Room. Hope you're doing well. Just as the government cannot compel a lesbian baker to create a cake condemning same-sex marriage or an atheist playwright to wax positively about God, New York cannot force Emily to convey messages that she objects to. The lawsuit says, well, she can lose business then. The legal document said Carpenter has received at least 7 requests to photograph same-sex weddings in the last year, but Carpenter declined these requests by not responding to them. That's just bad business sense and is probably going to score you bad reviews for doing a bad business. Anti-LGBT Christian group Alliance Defending Freedom helped Carpenter file a lawsuit. Of course they did. The ADF said in a statement that creative professionals like Carpenter should have the freedom to create art consistent with their beliefs without fear of the government closing their business or throwing them in jail. Literally, who the fuck is throwing you in jail? No one is. The lawsuit stated that New York law requires Carpenter to create photographs and blogs celebrating same-sex marriage because she creates photographs and blogs celebrating opposite-sex marriage. It added the law prohibits her from posting statements on her business's own website explaining her religious views on marriage or her reasons for only creating this wedding content. Jennifer Pizer, Senior Counsel and Director of Law and Policy for Lambda Legal, told Pink News that all businesses are free to express their views on all sorts of subjects, including religion and politics, but non-discrimination laws limit how they can act. While our civil rights laws do not regulate or limit in any way each person's freedom to believe as they wish about whomever they wish, the laws sometimes do limit expressions of those views if the manner of expressing those views as a practical matter amounts to slamming the door on a customer, Pizer explained. She continued, so for example, it would probably be fine for a bakery to have signage expressing the baker's religious views that heterosexual marriage is a sacrament of the highest order. It would not be fine for the baker to scream at would-be customers that their same-sex marriage means they are evil and will burn in hell. The manner of expression can make all the difference in workplace harassment cases, and the same is usually true in public accommodation cases. Pizer told Pink News that Carpenter's case resembles the many similar cases the ADF has been pursuing for years now, and the arguments are excruciatingly familiar. She said ADF keeps flooding the courts with these cases, determined to get back to the Supreme Court with these familiar arguments, and hope that the old arguments will meet a more receptive audience in the newly composed, Trump-influenced Supreme Court. Anywho, that's dumb. I was just amused by the title, but there's the whole article there. Basically, she doesn't want to photograph gay vampires, and I mean, why would you be such a boring person as to not want to photograph gay vampires? I am hiring a photographer at my earliest convenience, and a woman, just a model woman, I guess, and we're going to do a gay vampire shoot in wedding dresses. Fuck it. Let's go. I'll find a model. We'll get some makeup. I'll get a photographer. We're going to do a gay vampire shoot. Gay wedding vampire shoot for the fun of it. Not getting married. I'm not going to get married. Most DSLRs have mirrors that... Fuck! That's going to ruin it. It's just... Fucking hell. You've ruined my fun. Right to refuse service in a service business such as a bakery or photography studio is upheld. That said, those businesses can and often do go under due to community backlash such as boycotting. So if your business cannot benefit the community in any reasonable way, if the community says, well, I don't like this business, they're not doing very good things for the community, I'm not going to support them, and your business goes under, tough fucking tits, mate. Get over it. You lost. You failed at a business. The mirror would only work if it was still made with silver nitrate. Oh, fair point. I like the mysticism of the fact that vampires simply can't have reflections, though. I like that mystique of it. I don't like when they science the fuck out of magic. We can't take pictures or pretend to be a vampire if I get something to suck on. I mean, I got a few options nowadays. That was a very naughty thing what I said, and I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. In Twilight, vampires don't appear in mirrors but do sparkle in sunlight. If there's a mirror outside in the sunshine, would the sparkles be reflected? Do we have to acknowledge the existence of Twilight? I'd rather not. I already acknowledged Divergent before, and I didn't want to do that either. That was really bad. I hated that. It was not a nice thing to acknowledge the existence of Divergent. Ew. Lestat and Louis? Probably. If the DSLR has midi-chlorians, you can photograph the vampires. You fucking love the Divergent books. I just hate how absolutely milquetoast they are. I'm sorry, Magnum Onerous? Oh my goodness. Oh, this person's hosting. We're gonna raid someone because it's late and I have a busy day again tomorrow. So we're gonna raid somebody. Milquetoast, M-I-L-Q-U-E-T-O. I think the toast T-O-A-S-T is still spelled the same. Milquetoast means really fucking boring, bland. Yeah, it's boring. So if something is milquetoast, it's not good. It's not poggers. Very not poggers. So there we go. At any rate. What do I do? As in the Bloodborne class, yeah, that's where I learned the phrase. God damn it, From Software, stop educating me on language, please? Stop? Whatever. Okay. Milk Mommy Toast. Have a fun raid target. Yeah, Draco, shoot one at me. Shoot me in the face, please. Shoot me in the face. I was considering raiding Pixel, but I don't know. Sarah Obscura. Let's have a look. What's Sarah Obscura up to? If I can copy the name. Which I can't because I got a fucking band-aid on my finger because I sliced underneath my nail. Which is pain. It's pain. Alright, let's go to Sarah Obscura. Mommy Milquetoast. I'm honestly, like, for the first time in my life ever, I'm contemplating buying Resident Evil Village. Dr. Heemdout. I feel like you've recommended Dr. Heemdout before. Have I... Keep that name in mind. Someone keep that name in mind. We've got to check out Dr. Heemdout at some point. I remember seeing that name in chat. We're going to go to Sarah Obscura for tonight. Go say hi. Go be kind. Go be polite. Go be good. Go be pog. Go be based. And don't be an asshole in her chat. And also, if you've not already, follow the socials, Twitter, join the Discord, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow my Instagram. And there's a Facebook group if you hate yourself, which I don't really post anything to. I don't care. Check out my newest video if you've not already watched my video essay sports. I'm trying to cram on my next video. I promise you I'm going to try to get it out this month. I really want to. I have a really good idea for it. And tomorrow I'm going costume shopping. We're going to do some shit, mate. It's going to be some good shit. Thanks for hanging, folks. I love your faces. Here's my pixelated skyline, what I did. It's fucking rubbish. I hate it. But I love you. And I'll see ya when I'm looking at you. Mommy Milka's video.